time-wise, we've got a close race going on and, a long time to go. So we'll see how the drama unfolds.
Exactly right. We stay with this great second-place battle, the closest battle on the racetrack amongst the IGT competitors. Only half a second separating Twatty and the Hammond Burns number 72.
David Hampton leading in the 4-liter Stuttgart Cup class, ahead of the 3.8 cars of Larry Wexler in 14th overall, second place in class, Mike Ward in third, and Mark Cook. So our other 3.8-liter cars right behind the 4-liter.
We can see Edward Savajian's car here being pushed behind the wall, so I don't know whether he elected to only do a handful of laps or if that indicated an issue, but they're attending to his car here on the pit lane right now, the number 33 Camaro. Great shot of Tom Pank coming up onto the front straightaway. As that car looks pretty imperious right now. He's maintained a pretty consistent about a 4-second lead over David Twatty, who has turned up the wick just a little bit. As we look at the lap times, Twatty was about a half a second quicker on that last lap. So again, traffic is always a factor for these enduros, as these drivers out front will gradually overhaul some of the cars from the Cayman classes, which don't generate quite the same lap time as these big GT3 cars. That looks like David Twatty's car that we're on board with right now, as he's, as we said, turned up the wick just a little bit. Let's see if David can do anything. Making a nice run through that. Oh, he's got all four wheels off at the exit of turn 6 at the chicane, but he's managed to keep it off the barriers.
That's the track extension they have going on there.
Yeah, and these drivers make use of every inch of it. Give them an inch, they'll take it.
Top 3 cars all running 28s, so we're getting down to some quick times, close to qualifying, and what we've seen the fastest here this weekend. We did see, I think Tom Pank was the only car that ran at 27 in yesterday's race, I think it was, or sometime in the racing yesterday.
Pretty good battle there between David Hampton and Paul Mortimer. That's for 11th in the overall. They're both in 4-liter Caymans, so that's a battle for the lead in class. Hampton in the red multicolored sort of number 14, and then the white number 85 of Paul Mortimer. Paul's had a pretty good weekend here, as he's taken the opportunity, since he's never been here to Indianapolis before, taken the opportunity to do some running with the SVRA classes to get a little extra track time, and it looks like it's paid good dividends. He's right there in the hunt for the lead in his class.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I believe his friend and co-driver, Mark Huppner, has been in the car. Finished on the podium yesterday, 901 shop prepared car. Long-time Porsche preparers out of South Florida.
On board once again with David Twatty. Working his way onto the home and straight once again. Hearing from race control, we had a spinner at some point, but hopefully he'll be able to get that car back underway so we don't have to bring out the dreaded safety car, and there is the car involved.
Yeah, the 07 car, as I heard, lost control and tagged the 2.8 car. That's the 2.8 car I think we're looking at. Yes, that's a shame. Larry Wexler was having a good run.
Indeed.
Yeah, here comes the double
sounds like
yellow.
The safety car may be on the way, as we're hearing race control asking the safety car to stand up. So a couple of our TA2 Cup drivers, that's Ethan Barker and Atwell, I believe, John Atwell. Oh, and they had it coming together. And I don't know if that is a replay of the incident or if that's live camera.
No, those are two different cars.
Yeah. I think we have yet another incident here. The flames you see are just excess fuel being burned off as the driver tries to refire that 02 car of John Atwell. Yep, and we just saw the safety car pull by. Looks like Atwell's just about got that car fired up again.
Yeah, those were two TA2 cars.
Correct.
This will play into some strategy greatly because, there can't be a driver change before 30 minutes.
Yep.
So many of our our single driver cars will pit on this, okay? And, it's going to be an interesting strategy because the drivers that have co-drivers and are planning on doing that are going to have to wait another 10 minutes or so. I think we're at the 17 mark, so a little more than 10 minutes before they can come in. So, as I said, strategy and dumb luck play into a lot on this enduro.
Yeah, understood. The 58, Mark Sandridge, one of the cars that is electing to take this opportunity to pit, and they are electing to fuel. We can see a crew member there with a full fire suit and a helmet and a fire extinguisher overseeing the fueling in the event that there would be an incident. The reason to refuel, obviously, is that you can keep the car lighter, obviously, for the first stint. But this was a short first stint, for sure, about 18 minutes with 37, 38 almost to go. As we see the 20 car of Javier Leos rolling back down the pit lane after making his stop. I don't know if he's heading for retirement or heading right back out again. So the cars must be in the pit lane for 5 minutes, basically from pit entrance to pit exit, if that's my understanding.
Yep, there's a timing cone out there, which tells them of the times. It's precisely kept by our Janet in timing.
And the penalty for short pitting is draconian, if memory serves. So, the drivers and teams are really encouraged not to do that.
Yeah. It won't improve your position. Let's put it that way.
Larry Wexler's car being winched up onto the tilt bed. And it looks like the two TA2 cars, TA2 Cup cars that were involved in that little contretemps there at turn one have both continued. So that's good to see. Let's do a quick rundown for you in the IGT ranks. James Hammond now being shown in the lead, as looks like the Panks may have pitted, not sure. But Hammond's being shown in the lead in the 176. Oh, we're understanding. In fact, we're getting some shots here. Tom Pank's car, they had to discharge a fire bottle there. Yeah. So there was an issue. Whether it was an overheating brake, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the regulations indicate if that has to happen, but Tom was out of the car. Looks like he's getting back in. One of the stewards talking to him.
Yeah, brakes is what I've heard. Yes.
Yeah, tire debris on the brakes is what we heard.
Good job by safety crews and those around to keep that under control.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like Pank no worse for wear for that, so he should be able to continue. Let's hope.
In typical Tom fashion, adding some drama to our race. Thank you very much.
Of course, thank you, Tom. That's a good thing. So, as you said, this is before the 30-minute mark, so they're not. So there's really only a 10-minute window where driver changes are possible, right?
No, driver. Yes, it is. That's right. Between the 30 and the 40-minute mark. Yes, exactly. Yeah, right.
They can pit, anytime, but if they want to make a driver change, they have to give the first driver a 30-minute stint. Yeah.
It's planned in that manner. In that. Most of the co-drivers, many times the co-drivers is the pro or coach that is with them. And does it put that team at a disadvantage? Yes, it does.
Of course.
But it's planned that way. Not fair to our sportsman category and group, and, not fair to those guys that are not utilizing pros or pro coaches for co-drivers.
Yep.
So hence, the roll of the dice. Once in a while it comes after that 30-minute mark, and it's wonderful, but the pro can only run the last, if they come in at the 30 mark, would we run the last 25 minutes.
Yep.
Okay. But in this case, this one makes it even more difficult because the double yellow came out prior to that 30-minute mark, so it now becomes a two-stop race.
Got it. Safety car comes by as we're still in recovery mode up at turn number 1. So the 07 of Ethan Barker moves up into a second spot in the overall as most of the IGT cars have elected to stop. James Hammond apparently did not elect to take part in the early pit stop, so he's going to wait and come in a little later on. So he inherits the lead. Ethan Barker and Bruce Raymond, John Atwell, the 3 TA2 Cup cars at the front of the order now, right behind James Hammond. Manuel Gil de Real and the number 27 Porsche, not part of the IGT field, is still out there circulating, as is Rick Wolsifer. Forgive me, Rick, for mispronouncing that, in the 31. And the Tom and Lucas Pank, number 42, with the brake fire extinguished. Should be good to go. As we can see, most of the cars who came in right away have used up their 5 minutes and are making their way down to the pit exit.
John, I realize the Group 10 cars will be finishing their race at the 30-minute mark. Is that similar on the TA2 group?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The plan is basically at 30 minutes they'll get a crossed white and checkered flag at the starter stand, and then they'll retire to the paddock and commence their podium celebrations, as the IGT cars then will continue for the balance of the hour.
Got it. Yeah, I didn't know whether the TA2 group also was under that edict, and it looks like they'll have approximately 7 minutes left in their race with the Group 10.
That is correct. 72 rolling back down the pit lane after completing his stop, Stephen Hammond. So Stephen and James elected to both drive their cars, apparently, as it's showing that James is still out there. Stephen just completing his stop and heading back out.
Yeah, timing didn't get the memo on this one, in that James Hammond, that is actually Tommy Byrne, who's out there in that car.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize. I thought Tommy was just shaking down the car. I didn't realize he was
driving. I don't think, unless James got in, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know whether they did a driver change, but if they have not come in, that's still Tommy's still in there, and he's primarily there to do a shakedown on this car to try and get it right for the next race, which is Road America in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah. God, good stuff. Tommy Byrne, quite a personality. If you never had the chance to meet Tommy, he's one of a kind, I think, for want of a better term.
Yeah.
The best driver. I think this book said something about the best driver nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah.
He's an extremely talented race car driver. He's one of the instructors at the Mid-Ohio School, so I know him pretty well. That being my home track, and he's a great interview and a great personality for sure.
Yeah, I met Tommy back lots of years ago because I worked with another personality. We go from one of the shortest drivers on the circuit to one of the tallest, and that was Chris Neifel, and he was head of the school at Mid-Ohio. Working for Michelle Truman, and Calvin Fish came out of there. So I worked with that group of guys, and there was never a dull moment. Chris had the reputation, and probably still does, of sparing no expense on a practical joke, and there were numerous ones that went across. Okay,
indeed. So the safety car, once again, still leading the field around, as the drivers that have elected to pit during this safety car period. It really makes good sense. Obviously, you lose less ground when the field is slowed down behind the safety car, so it's a good time to pit if you can do so. But unfortunately, because of the rules, those drivers who intended to make a driver change will have to come in again if they elect to do that.
Yeah, and it's right at the edge. I don't know when that. I thought I heard the safety car was going to come in on this one, but they will be right at the green when the time they can come in. If they had continued under yellow, they would have been a lot happier, So it's about, it's just at that time that the green flag is going to come out at the 30-minute mark. So it's going to have to be a quick pit change for those that are using co-drivers if they elect to do so.
Exactly so. We ride along with Tom Pank. Not Tom Pank, we ride along with David Twatty, forgive me, in the number 68 car. As we await the word that the safety car is pulling off this time, and has done so. we are just about ready to go racing. I think that's Ethan Barker at the head of the field. There's the 176 with Tommy Byrne aboard. Tommy pulling out of line, waiting for the word. There's the green flag, and 4 abreast down the long straightaway here. A couple of those TA2 Cup cars mixing it up with the front of our IGT field.
Yeah, there was a Group 10 Porsche in there, and I've spoken with the guy, and he's talked about getting a little more experience before he came with IGT. I think he just got a lot of experience going down to turn 1 there as he was engulfed.
Yep, exactly right. And they're sorting it out now. Again, this little bit of traffic backed up behind the safety car is going to mix up the field just a little bit. So
yeah, it looks like downtown Indy right now. Yeah,
exactly. Have to do slicing and dicing to get the order reestablished. Tommy Byrne being shown on timing and scoring as the leader, with Ethan Barker in second, John Atwell in third, Manuel Gil de Real. He was the number 27 GT4 Porsche from SVRA. Bruce Raymond in another of the Cup cars. Rick Wolfser also. One of the Group 10 cars that is out there. David Twatty, next of the IGT competitors. Still dicing as Twatty's trying to find a way around a couple of those TA2 Cup cars that have pretty similar lap times. John Atwell was the quickest at a 1:30 and some change, and that's right about about mid-pack for the international GT drivers.
Yeah, lap times on the watch, they all look the same. On the track, they look totally different.
Sure,
the TA2 car is going to have the horsepower down the straightaway. Porsche's still going to have the advantage in handling and under braking and cornering. And but on the watch, they look the same.
Exactly right. Well, they just make their speed in different ways, and that's the stopwatch is what really counts, unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess we should say. So, David Twatty has cleared that little clutch of traffic, so now he'll be able to set his sights on the front once again.
Well, the stopwatch makes the all-importance in qualifying. Okay, once the green flag drops, the only thing that matters, you finished ahead of the guy behind you.
Exactly
That's the
right.
only thing.
Exactly right.
Whatever that time is, you can throw that out and just say, well, it's all about position.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
Ooh, 3 abreast coming through turn number 7. It's still a bit of a traffic jam.
Gosh, it looks like a chorus line out there.
Corner marshal frantically waving the passing flag to let the drivers know that there's some faster folks coming through. But I think things are beginning to settle in now as we're getting a little more clear-cut idea of the running order. Again, that number 176 at the front has yet to pit, and that is Tommy Byrne doing some work on that 176 car for the family Hammond. We get a good shot of David Twatty, and he is being chased by the Panks and the number 42 as they're beginning to work their way back toward the top of the order. Tommy Byrne has a lap on the field, but again has not yet pitted as the 30-minute mark has passed, and that means that the SVRA competitors will be making their way into the pit lane and into the podium. This is their last race of the day, so they will be celebrating Father's Day on the podium. So once this lap is complete, I think just about all of the Group 10 cars will be in fact, yes, that is looking like the case now. So all we have remaining on our timing screens are the IGT cars, and that's good to see. So it is Tommy Byrne, David Twatty in second, Javier Rapol currently in third in the 191, Tom and Lucas Pank in the 42. Tom obviously must still be in the car because they weren't permitted to do a driver change. Jay Smith in the 37 is fifth, Mark Sandridge is sixth, David Hampton, Thomas Ballister, Stephen Hammond and Tom Burns in the 72, and Paul Mortimer, your top 10 in International GT. Twatty and Pank, who will probably be dueling for the lead of this race after Tommy Byrne pits. Nose to tail. David Twatty with a nose ahead, but Tom Pank getting tied up just a little bit with the 85 of Paul Mortimer, who's not on the same lap. Tom Pank riding along with him as he gives chase to the orange number 68 of David Twatty, just ahead of him.
Lobster Mac, as he calls it.
Lobster Mac, I like it. Yeah.
As the TLM crew names all his cars. Yes,
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
He had one they showed up with, I think, at Road America last year, and we just, I don't know, it was olive drab, it was something, but it was there's nothing quiet or about David Twatty, whether it's on the podium or with his cars, and it was the most subdued thing. It was almost subliminal. So that only lasted one race.
Yeah. I don't know how well you know Jose de las Casas, his partner in the FARA effort, as Tom Pank makes the pass.
Yeah, boy, he had to lock him up big time.
He did. Yeah, that was a dive bomb for sure into turn 12.
To get by him.
We've seen a lot of aggressive moves there at turn 12 throughout the course of the day.
Yeah. Well, if he's going to make a driver change with Lucas, which he can do at any time at this point, he's got to do it soon. I think maybe, he might be trying to run out a lead as best he can, pit and put Lucas in and see if he can finish it out. There are, I'll just point out, two different classes. Tom's in 4R class. And although, no, that's right. David is running. He's bumped up a class, and they're both in 4R. So,
okay. Yep.
Which, and we've seen that. The new 992 is very capable of running times, 4R times. And I think at some point in the future, maybe next year, the gurus of rules making, which I am not, I'm a marketing guy, will kind of merge those two together.
You have people.
I have people. Yes. I'll be the first to say I'm not the technical guy.
Okay, sounds good. So Tommy Byrne just setting his personal best, a 130.6, just to indicate that he's in the GT 4.0 class, and the GT 4.Rs of Pank and Twatty lapping about 2 seconds quicker. A 28.2 is Lucas Pank's. Tom Pank's, best time. A 28.4, David Twatty's best time. So
Javier Rapol in that 3.8 liter doing very well. He must have learned a lot of lessons in Europe. He just is joining us back and had quite a bit of racing in Europe and came back to join us and ran a 29 and a 3.8. So a good run for Javier Rapol.
Yeah, no question about it. So once again, the car in the lead, the number 176 of Tommy Byrne, with a full lap lead at the moment, but as David Twatty unlaps himself and gets at the tail end of that lead lap for Tommy Byrne. Jay Smith in the number 37. As we look at the class differences, Tom and Lucas Pank leading the GT4R category. Twatty in second, Jay Smith in third in the GT 3.8 class, where you have 4 cars there as well. Javier Rapol, as Ken mentioned, is the leader. Thomas Ballister in the 188 in second. Mark Julian and Jordan Sandridge third and fourth. In the GT 4.0 class, Tommy Byrne is the leader over Mark Sandridge and Stephen Hammond and Tom Burns, with Paul Mortimer in the fourth spot. And the Caymans, we haven't talked much about them. In the 3.8 class, Mark Cook is the leader in the 581. Javier Leos in the 20, and Larry Wexter in the 28, running second and third. Mike Ward in the 07.
Yeah, I don't know. Mike's been on the top of the podiums for the 2 races yesterday. And, obviously, has had some kind of problem. Only completing 9 laps, and so some issue there with our defending champion from yesterday, so to speak, in the 3.8 liter class.
And Larry Wexler, of course, we saw him being loaded on the tilt bed. After
he had the unfortunate incident of...
Could be those two got together.
No, he met with a TA2 car.
Yeah, was that it?
Yeah, the 07 car, which was, disappointing. Sorry to see that Larry is out of the Autometrics crew. Jay Smith running well in 4th overall in the R, just watching all the action up ahead. And, also running very well, David Hampton, 6th overall in the 4-liter car, number 14. in the Stuttgart Cup class.
Got it. Pretty good battle here that we're watching. Paul Mortimer in the 85 at the tail end of that is not on the same lap as the cars that he's running in close formation with right there. As we see the Panks in the front of that group. As the field pretty much jumbled a little bit because, again, not everybody has elected to take their pit stop just yet. Quaddy about 2 seconds behind the number 42 Pank car. As we ride with him into turn 12 right now. There's the 85 of Paul Mortimer working his way up onto the banking. The car right behind him is, check as they come across the stripe. Mortimer sets his personal best on that last lap, a 1:31.047. The 14 car of David Hampton is not on the same lap as Paul Mortimer. So, although they're having a nice little battle, intramural battle, that's not for position. Hampton up in 6th position right now in the 4-liter Cayman. Mortimer in the GT 4.0 GT3 Cup car is in 10th position right now. Again, they're on a different lap, but that's because of different pit stop strategy for the most part. As the field seems to have settled in just a little bit. Getting close to the 40-minute mark, and it looks like Tommy Byrne has not yet pitted, so he's going to need to come in this time, I'm thinking.
Yeah, well, he's outside the box of the rules, so to speak, anyway. In that Jim would have had to start the car. As I said, they just came in and said, hey, we're going to do a shakedown on this car.
Got it.
So I just checked with timing and scoring, and confirmed a couple of things. One is all the cars have done their mandatory 5-minute stop and are within the window. They're the 176 of Tommy's the only one who hasn't. So
he's just come into pit lane.
Okay, so he's at least in that part of the rules. But all the other cars are good to go. Whether they elect to come in and do a driver change, which we had speculated on the Tom Pank thing, don't know. I won't speculate what's going on in Tom's head. That's a scary thing to do. But knowing Tom, he says, I'm going to win this thing and I'm going to win it outright. And Lucas, you're going to have to cheer me on. So we'll see.
Exactly.
Unless he gets a good enough lead that he feels he can come in and do that. The other thing I saw, and I misspoke, because there are 2 cars of the same number, of different category. It was indeed an incident between the 07 Mike Ward car and the 28 Larry Wexler, both IGT cars.
I thought so.
Yes, that was correct. The 07 car did have incident, but it was later on down the road.
Yep.
So, and it was a TA2 club car. The 07 seems to be the unlucky number in this whole realm, because twice, but 2 different cars. So it was an incident between those 2 cars that put them both out. That's disappointing.
And what we're seeing on screen now is the battle for the lead of the motor race here. As they come across the line, those 2 take over the top spots, as the 176 of Tommy Byrne is unlapped himself now, as he's in the pit lane serving that mandatory stop. Whether or not he comes back out remains to be seen. But Tom and Lucas Pank now leading it. Tom looks like he's going to go the whole way here. And David Twatty's going to try to deny him that flag victory.
Yep, and I'm not sure. Lucas was probably just standing by. His car went out yesterday. I think it was an axle problem. But, he's standing by just in case. But I just thought I saw David go by.
Twatty got a great run through
got by on Tom on there.
Through the chicane and made the pass. Yes, indeed he did. He really carried a bunch of speed through that little 5-6 chicane and was able to overtake him before they got to turn 7. So we'll see if Tom can respond now with Twatty in the lead. Jay Smith and Javier Rapol two different classes, of course. Jay in a GT4R, Javier in a GT 3.8. David Hampton, the lead Cayman, up in 5th. That's a great run for him. He and Mark Sandrich having a nice battle in the 14 and the 58, respectively. But David Twatty, our new leader, up onto the front straightaway here.
We haven't mentioned we have a 3.6 liter car, the only one here, driven very well. Been on the podium with Jimmy McGlynn, the son, with Dad Tom, celebrating Father's Day. Tom McGlynn and Jimmy McGlynn, both in that car in the 3.6 liter class. Javier Lewis, they're still battling with Mark Cook in the Stuttgart Cup, 3/8 at 14th and 15th overall.
Tom Pank really on the back of David Twatty here. I'm going to see if he's going to try to repay the favor here. If you'll remember, a lap ago, those positions were swapped, and Twatty got a great run through this little chicane and was able to draft past it. Tom trying to repay the favor, but I don't think he's ready to do it just yet.
Yeah, it looks like David is using all the pavement plus coming out of that chicane.
Tom thought about it, going late on the brakes there at turn 7. I'm going to keep an eye on that battle when they get to turn 12, because that's where we saw Tom do a bonsai move earlier in the race, just before the pit stops. Twatty, though, getting a little bit of a lead as they come down into turn 12, but Pank's car really strong on the brakes. He's able to close right on his back bumper there.
Yeah, he preheated him with that fire he had in the pit lane, I think.
Yeah,
what
exactly.
Happened.
Yeah. Got a little extra temperature in the brake.
I've heard of tire warmers, but no, Tom has brake warmers. Okay, what he's got going on.
Oh, he gets a good run onto the straightaway. Let's see what happens here as they come down toward turn number 1. As they flash by our commentary position, maybe a car length between them. Again, thanks to our folks from Live Race Media for these great images as they come right down into turn 1. Not quite close enough to make it happen.
You know, it's interesting. This is the narrow body versus the wide body scenario. 992 versus the more traditional GTR car with the wide body work. Oh, look at that.
And there it was.
Oh, boy, yeah. That was a surprise for David, I'm sure.
I think.
I didn't think he was going to continue a little quicker and he was going to be able to stay on him, and he had to either jump on the brake or jump off the throttle there.
Yeah.
But a battle royale going on right here.
Exactly. Two drivers at the top of their game having a good time out here. And that's great to see. And, of course, coming into the section of the racetrack where Twatty will have the advantage, just as you were saying, Ken, with that narrower bodywork, he doesn't make as big a hole in the air. So on the straightaways, he's got the advantage. But Pank's car probably generates a bit more downforce and gives him the opportunity to make up ground in the twisty bits.
And here we come upon traffic. Yeah, yes, that will be the big decider.
Of course, yeah. Just about 11 minutes remaining as what we're seeing on timing and scoring.
All right, we're winding down, John. I'd like to thank, and I usually do it at the end of the telecast and the broadcast, and really we'd like to thank sincerely our marketing partners who have been with us from the beginning. Juan Gonzalez of Mission Foods, who, as you know, runs with us and has a large footprint across motorsports, from IndyCar and flat track racing, NHRA. But we're glad that he chooses to run with International GT. He will be with us in 2 weeks at Road America. And Pirelli Tires, who gives us the finest of products, a world brand. And, there's one thing I don't hear from our customers, and trust me, if our customers have a thought, they're going to tell us. Yeah. But the compliments of the Pirelli Tire brand and the tires that they have, very good quality product, very consistent, and they're very happy with that. And then our sponsors, which is Fixie Wheels, with us for a second year. Also, Detroit Watch Company, a beautiful chronometer, a very interesting story. The owner was a car designer, and everything they do is pretty much auto and motorsports related, and great awards at the end of the year. Fixie Wheels, and of course Stand 21, which we believe is the premier safety equipment company in the world. They're at Le Mans. I saw them a couple of years ago when I was there, and having a big presence. Sunoco Race Fuels and Speedcom Communications. So we thank all of our marketing partners, sponsors, and official vendors of supporting International GT, and of course the Speed Tour event. And here the Indianapolis people and crews and safety workers. Thank you very much.
Indeed. Yeah, everybody here at the Speedway is so welcoming when we come for this Brickyard Invitational. On Father's Day weekend, we heard from Tony Perella at the banquet last night talking about how this has become a tradition, and he announced that we will be back again next year on this same weekend. So we always look forward to it, and the folks in the yellow shirts who keep us all pointed the right direction and work the pit lane and the grid and make sure you get your car parked in the right spot. Welcome us with open arms here at this beautiful facility. So great to have all of that support as we're winding down into the final 10 minutes of this one.
Looks like Tom has opened up a bit of breathing room over David.
And we saw that the 14 of David Hampton finally was able to get around Paul Mortimer a little earlier. Again, those are in two different classes, and they're on two different laps, actually. Mortimer's a lap down to that battle. As the 72 going a little deep. Stephen Hammond and Tom Burns a little deep into turn one. As we're getting down to the nub of this one. Best battle on the racetrack is the one for sixth. Mark Sandrich and Thomas Ballister. Again, two different classes. Ballister in a 3.8 liter, Sandrich in a 4. Only about half a second separates those two, the 58 and the 188. So that's one to watch. The rest of the battle's a little bit drawn out. Jordan Sandridge and Mark Julian within a couple seconds of each other in the battle for 10th.
John, I didn't see. I probably blinked or something, but he's usually up in the fray. And he's now currently in 8th place. But Stephen Hammond, car 72. What happened? Did you remember what happened there? Yeah, kind of. I don't know whether a pit stop just didn't work or whatever, but very unusual that he's not in the top 4 overall, and he's down in 8th place. But last time was a 33. My guess, okay. They did do the drive. They talked about doing a driver change, and Dad's in there and enjoying his Father's Day ride. That's my guess.
Exactly right. Yes, I look at the lap times from the last handful of laps. They've all been pretty consistent, right in the low 33s.
Yeah, so. And the best time of Stephen was a 28. So yeah. So good for father son enjoying their Father's Day.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Traffic, as you mentioned, could be a factor here for our leader, Tom Pank, as he's working his way around a slower car. David Twatty doing his best to keep up, but he's running out of time here. Has got about 7 minutes, according to the updated timing and scoring screen. I think they may have stolen a minute or two over that yellow flag period to keep us on schedule, as we've got lots of racing coming up here today. Oh, looks like a little bit of loose body work on the left rear of Pank's car. Is that like a tail light dangling in the wind? I'm not sure.
I see something. That's some appendage that's come out there.
Some of that add-on body work that he put on.
Yeah, and as far as I know, these cars don't have semi-floors.
I don't believe so. The old Volkswagen.
Look that one up. Yeah, right. Those of you who don't know that, look that up, okay?
Yeah, there you go. Semaphore turn signals. There you go. Yeah. We had a conversation about that over dinner at the last time we were up at Road America, and I was amazed that people had no idea that existed, I said, there was this little thing that flipped out, and the turn. What? I never heard of such a thing. So,
Yep.
Fascinating stuff.
Yeah. As a kid going to the 64 World's Fair, there was a couple of prototype cars and futuristic cars that had that type of thing. And little did I know that, 10, 20 years before, they already had that.
Yeah, Ferdinand Porsche, he figured that out a long time ago. So.
Well, I'm hearing race control about the hanging bodywork off the 42 leading Tom Pank car. I don't know. I'm sure they're obviously keeping an eye on it.
If they deem that to be a hazard, but a potential hazard, if that whatever that is falls off the car, could potentially be a hazard to another competitor.
David Twatty, who's behind him.
Yep, exactly. It sure does look like a taillight assembly.
It is. Yeah, that's what
it's just hanging on by the cabling right now. Yeah.
You know, you're going fast when you suck the taillights out of the car.
Exactly right. I've heard of blowing the doors off a car, but
yeah, but
never sucking the taillights.
That's right.
That's a first for me.
Well, the clock can't, you know, with under 5 minutes here, can't go fast enough, I'm sure, for Tom.
Yep.
He needs to go fast enough to stay ahead of Mr. Twatty.
Yep.
But as far as the hanging taillight, just hang on, Sloopy. That's all he can say. So.
Exactly. Well, you're a Floridian. There was all the deal with the hanging chads back in the day.
Oh, so. Yeah. Well, in an election year, it becomes pertinent. It'll come back up again. Oh, my God.
Of course. Of course.
As they say down our way in South Florida, now it's become a nationwide thing. Vote early and vote often. You know.
Exactly right. But just vote. Whatever you do, do vote. On to the front straightaway. Pretty consistent, about a second and a half lead for Tom Pank. As we look at the lap times, he was marginally quicker on that last lap. Or David Twatty was marginally quicker on that last lap, so perhaps he's been biding his time, and he'll try to mount a challenge here as we're into the final 4 minutes of this one. Mark Julian and Jordan Sandridge, I believe, going side by side. So that is a battle for position. That's for 10th and 11th as they cross the line literally side by side. We'll follow this battle right down to turn number 1. Sandridge looks like he is got it done.
Yep, got it done. Yep. Looked like he was going to tuck back behind and then pop back out and went by. So
Jordan Sandridge up to 9th position. Mark Julian in 10th. As they crossed the line, it was 28 thousandths of a second as they were literally side by side at the stripe. A yard of bricks right here in front of us from our commentary position. Those two are, by the way, in the same class, so that is a battle for class position. And David Twatty has made up a little ground here.
Closer. Yeah.
This one is not over yet,
Yeah.
I don't believe.
Yeah.
Turn our attention back to the front. We're down to about 2.5 minutes, according to the updated time.
Car 188, Tom Colasino, in a battle there.
It's Thomas Ballister.
Ballister, sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Ballister.
He and Mark Sandridge are running in close formation. Here comes our leader, Tom Pank.
I wondered if that taillight situation didn't happen on that pass when David had to jump out of the turn. He made the pass and Tom came over and he had to jump out. I wonder if there wasn't a bit of touch there that caused that taillight to come out, because it wasn't long after that it came out.
Might have knocked it loose. Sure.
Because they were certainly very close, and you saw David, react. And white flag is coming out next time.
Yep, getting word. And Tom Pank has just set the fast lap of the race as the fuel is burned off. And apparently the added aerodynamic drag of the dangling taillight has not slowed him down too much.
Yep, got into 27s. So there we go.
27.9. So he saved the best for last. Yes, I think feeling the pressure from David Twatty from behind.
Javier Rapol and Jay Smith having a good race. Boy, 3.8 liter and a 4R. Javier's right on the tail of Jay Smith. And Jay's in 3rd place overall. Good run for him. But Javier, I would say an even better run. And then behind him, David Hampton in the 4-liter car. So 4 different classes in the top 5.
Yeah.
It just shows the go you, that, can be done.
So our leader working his way up onto the banking in the short chute between turns 1 and 2 on the oval. Into turn 12, right there at the pit entrance at turn 13. A very acute turn, sharper than 90 degrees as he comes to the white flag in the starter's hand. 1 lap to go.
And he's opened up a pretty good lead at this point.
I think he's got a comfortable lead, over 2 seconds.
Yep.
So, barring a pretty big mistake, he should be good to go to the finish here. Jay Smith and Javier Rapol coming by. They're only a half a second apart, so that's going to be a good battle right down to the end. As we ride along with David Twatty down the Holman Straight, under the bridge, heading toward turn 7 for the final time at speed. David started this one on the pole, but Tom Pank eventually found his way by. I think they've swapped that position a couple times over the course of the race. Tom looks like he's got the advantage here as we're coming to the checkered flag. Unfortunately, the timing of the yellow not quite good enough. Oh, there's a late pass. The 87 and the 49 still going after it as the checkered flag flies for Tom Pank. David Twatty finishing in second spot, both of them in the GT4R class. There's the 110 of Tom McGlynn coming by. The 191 of Javier Rapol, the third place driver. And just behind them, the good battle between David Hampton and Jay Smith. David Hampton holding off Jay by about half a second at the line. Thomas Ballister and Mark Sandridge, 6th and 7th. Paul Mortimer will finish in the 8th spot. Mark Julian will take 9th place honors, it looks like. As Jordan Sandridge comes across the line in 10th. Ken, I know you've got to head down to do a little Father's Day celebrating with your podium finishers.
Right.
Always great to have you with us.
Yeah,
Thanks
it's been
so
a great
much.
weekend. Thank you very much for the invite on behalf of International GT. We'd like to thank everybody and those who tuned in and watched this video telecast. It's wonderful to be, as I said, I have a face made for radio, so we're all good here. But thank you very much. It's been a fantastic weekend of racing, and we will be at Road America in 2 weeks.
Safe journey home to you, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we'll see you soon. For those of you watching us on the stream, we will have some podium celebrations, I think, and then we will take a little break from the stream, and we will be back with you for the finale of the weekend for the Group 1, 3, and 4 SVRA race. That's scheduled at 9:30 Eastern, so about 25 minutes from now. So again, we'll step away from the live racing action briefly while a practice session gets handled, and then we'll be back with you with groups 1, 3, and 4, followed by the second race of the weekend for the Formula Regional Americas Championship, as they will take the green flag at about 10 o'clock Eastern. We'll have a Sports 2000 feature race at 10:50. Groups 6, 8, and 12 will take the green flag at about 11:20, and then we'll break for lunch and pre-race festivities leading up to our afternoon card of racing. For those of you here at the facility, we will have a fan walk again today at about 12:50, thereabouts. You'll be welcome to come down on the pit lane and meet the drivers from Group 2 from SVRA, which are the non-wings and slicks Formula cars, with the Formula B contingent in the first wave. So some fun cars to watch and see up close for sure. Once that concludes, we'll have the Group 10 stock car race at 2 o'clock. And then at 2:30, the finale for the Formula Regional Americas Championship. They have 3 races here this weekend, and they're third at 2:30. Ragtime Racers will be on track. If you weren't with us yesterday, the Ragtime Racers are 1920 and earlier race cars, many of them based on the Ford Model T, but there's a Duesenberg and an EMT and a National, lots of interesting cars from the Ragtime Racers. So we look forward to that. Group 9 at 3:50, Groups 5, 7, and 11 at 4:20. And that will round up our stream. We do have one enduro at the end of the day at 4:50. For those of you here in attendance at the Speedway. Happy Father's Day, everyone, to all the fathers and sons and daughters here this weekend, as this traditional weekend of vintage racing here at Indianapolis will continue. So for those of you watching us on the stream, we'll say our goodbyes for the time being, and we will be back with you again at about 9:30 Eastern for the Group 1, 3 and 4 SVRA race. I'm John Phippen. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you in about half an hour.
My name is Brian Blaine. I'm here with the Ragtime Racers, a group of pre-1920 race cars, creating what we call race exhibitions, where we show people what racing looked like 100 years ago. The cars are all original race cars. We wear original clothing, coveralls that they wore back in the day, leather helmets, goggles, and go out on the track and show people what racing looked like 100 years ago. Most of us had been vintage racing in the past, and some of us for many years. And the really old cars, which pre-World War I cars we refer to them as, were usually thrown in with cars much newer, sometimes as new as in the 50s. And they would call it a pre-war class, which is basically 1946 and earlier. And the problem that we ran into was that, you've got cars that can't do over 50, 60 miles an hour, and you've got cars that are doing 160 miles an hour. And so we decided to organize a group so that we're only the pre-1920 cars, and we do our thing as a race exhibition. So we don't wear modern helmets, we don't wear fireproof clothing, we wear the leather helmets and goggles. The car can't have any improvements on it that weren't available in 1920. So if a turbocharger was invented after 1920, you can't put a turbocharger on it. And the cars are as close to original racing condition as we can make them. This is a 1912 Packard. We think this is the oldest Packard race car that still exists in the world. It was found in Argentina back in 1950, and the fellow that bought it started to collect the parts necessary to make it into a street car, and spent 50 years literally gathering up parts, but he never finished putting it together. This was the beginning, this was the embryo of racing that we have today. Not just the cars, but the technology and the drivers and the learning curve that they all had to go through. It's a part of our history that has, almost gotten entirely lost until we started bringing these cars out so that people could see them again and hear them and smell them and I mean, there's nothing like the sound of a 450 cubic inch four-cylinder engine with pistons as big as coffee cans, burning castor oil. There's just nothing like it.
I'm Rick Fraser. This is my oldest son,
Yep,
Scott.
I'm Scott Fraser.
And we are with the
HSCRA.
HSCRA. It's a brand new organization, so with the numbers and letters all mixed up. And part of SVRA, we've been racing with SVRA for 6 years. And we switched to stock cars the end of last year.
We raced Group 1 cars before this, depending on organization, but small bore British cars.
We raced enduro motorcycles for a long time, since the 90s. And running through the woods, you get banged up quite a bit. So what used to take 3 weeks to heal now takes about 3 months, And so we decided, we better switch to cars. We're getting banged up too much. They're extremely easy cars to drive if you want to just go out and cruise the track. They're extremely difficult cars to drive if you want to go fast.
These cars are a huge difference to transition from a small bore British car to a car like this. The little car doesn't want to go fast. You have to make it go fast, and this only wants to go fast. So that's the transition is not insurmountable, but it's a pretty big difference. This connects the corners a whole lot quicker. The braking point is probably the biggest difference that I've noticed. You're going considerably faster, and the brakes are considerably poorer. So it's a lot of fun, big learning curve. This is a really fun way to go faster on the racetrack and do it as safely as possible.
Yeah,
these are probably the safest cars you can put yourself in.
Yeah. If you're going to crash, you want to crash in a stock car.
Yeah, there's no crashing allowed, but
they're built like tanks. I mean, they're meant to crash and survive.
Safe, fun,
right.
Purpose-built.
We've been racing the cars now. This is our 6th year.
6 years, yeah.
And it's been a lot of fun. We travel all over to do it. As far north as Wisconsin, as far south as Texas. So for us, it's been a real treat to be able to do it, and for me to be able to do it with Scott, it's fantastic.
I agree. Who wouldn't want to go race and hang out with their dad on the weekend? So it's been good fun. Yeah, coming to this track is surreal. I mean, to drag a trailer through that tunnel and not get kicked out for doing it is really something amazing. To be able to come here and be an average guy and hop in a car like this and go and drive is really neat. It's really fun.
Oh, it's definitely a lot of fun. It's challenging. Everything's flat, and you're trying to go as fast as you can within the grip level you have. So there's risk.
It's just a fantastic facility. The track is really fun to drive. I got to tell you, I didn't think it would be, because it's just completely flat. But the way it was designed, it's really exciting to be out there, and just the history and to be at this venue is something else. I mean, this is a really amazing experience.
It's very nice. It's a very interesting feeling, especially going over the bricks. It's just it's so different. I never expected to be driving on this track. So driving here, I drove at Laguna, and that was already an experience. But driving here is crazy because it's so iconic. It's been around for so long, and it's probably the most known track, one of the most known tracks around the world, right? So it's pretty cool. And the track is really nice, actually. I've never driven on the road course, so it's a very cool experience.
My second time here, my first time driving, I came to the museum a few years ago while I was karting up in Newcastle. So it's super cool to come back here and actually get to drive on the track. This place is crazy, it's massive, but yeah, it's a really cool experience to race here.
The history is very cool. I mean, I've watched the Indy 500 since I was a kid, and I've watched it here as well live. It's a very cool event, and it's such a historic track, and you really feel it when you're on track, the bricks and all of that, so it's very cool and very special.
Yeah, I mean, the last Indy 500 we were at a few weeks ago, and there was a nice experience, and now driving here is also very, very cool.
The history here as far as IndyCar, F1, and even NASCAR is just, I mean, it's over 100 years, so it's pretty awesome to be here. I mean, the bricks, everything, just, I can't imagine this place during the Indy 500, all the spectators. It's a really cool experience to just be a part of it, for sure.
Well, Indy has I guess, a life of its own. Everybody wants to come to Indy, but even more importantly, to have the opportunity to drive on the track is a real thrill. We've got about 9 guys who came out all the way from California for this event with their cars, just so that they could get a chance to drive on the Indy Oval.
Well, we come here with customers, and we came here to have a lot of fun. That's the main thing, having fun. We've got some cool old vintage NASCAR race cars, and we're here to have fun. Everybody goes at their own pace. I mean, it's competitive, but there's like 6 different levels of guys racing out here. So everybody has somebody to race. The thing with me, I'm in charge of my Nemechek Motorsports and Engineering, so I have guys here that are racing and help working on everybody's cars. So number one objective of mine is to keep everybody's cars running. If it means I don't go out, we're going to keep everybody's cars running. So my customers come first, and then we get to go have fun. I never thought I would be back here taking care of customer cars. You know, I love racing. I know these race cars, and I've made a living driving these race cars my whole life. So I think that's one of the advantages that our team and our group has, is I had to do this for a living. Okay, this is how I made money. So you learn what breaks, what doesn't break, the things that are important, the things you got to take care of to have a successful weekend. And I've incorporated all that into the cars we run, and normally we don't have any failures at the racetrack, and they get the run. And that's one of the reasons I got involved. The first couple races I went to help people, everybody's cars are broke down all the time, and it's like, how can you guys keep doing this? So that's why I got involved, and now I got a big business doing it.
I'm 58 years old. I'm doing something that, you know, most people that are doing this are probably 18 to 24, and they're pursuing a professional career as a driver, you know, for a living. And I'm here more for fun. And trying to compete against young drivers is very difficult, but you know, it's a challenge that you have to be more fit than you normally would at the age I'm at, and you have to, you know, establish yourself on the grid to make sure that you have you know, the speed and the ability to be there, and you know, I find it's pretty difficult to actually do this at the level that these other drivers are doing, but I'm getting there. You know, I'm clawing away, and I'm getting pretty close. So it's exciting, and you're kind of putting yourself out there every time you get in the car. You know, there's something meaningful that, you know, there's a consequence for a mistake. Unlike other sports, there's a real consequence, a crash, and you know, maybe there's some danger involved as well, but experience is everything. You know, to be experienced driving on the specific tracks we're on, and that gives you speed. Raw speed is something usually that is developed from a karting career and going through the junior ranks, and you know, it's developed. Most people don't have that. It's something that you're either on a sim, you've karted, you've done, you know, Formula Ford, Formula F4, and then you get into F3. So it's developed, and I think that's how you get raw speed as well. It's extremely difficult to pass in these cars. You have to be so tight to the driver in front of you and then pull out in a braking zone. It's not like you can pass on a straight. There's, you know, the same thing that happens with all open wheel Formula cars, where there's a lot of downforce in play. There's aero turbulence that goes by, and you're in this void of nothing. So it's, you know, it's always grip versus whether or not you can actually develop the speed to pass. The cars are equally powered, and you know, we're constantly changing things on them to make them quicker, but it's very, very difficult to actually just make a true pass. I've been in this series for 3 years now. I guess actually this is my 4th year, and we're always hitting new sites, and so or new tracks, and you know, this year we're going to go to Canada, which is a new experience, and probably going to go to Europe. And there's a circuit called Boss, big open single-seater, and you have historical, well, not completely historical, but slightly older F1 cars and F2 cars, and so we're looking at acquiring a fairly recent F2 car and moving into that series, and then do some stuff. I'd like to do Monaco and an F3 car as well, so we're going to go to Europe.
Being the only female in the field, I don't really notice any difference, honestly. Like, when you put your helmet on, you're kind of just like everybody else, so who cares at the end of the day? You're just battling out there for, you know, time and all that. Like, of course, like in different sports, like swimming or something, you're going to see the differences, but racing, it's a car, right? So it's not any difference if you're a woman or a male. I try not to make friends. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, of course, like, and I know a lot of these guys will say, like, oh, hey, like, I'm friends with this guy, but at the end of the day, when you're on track, you're not friends. And if you do kind of make, like, a relationship, you kind of treat them different on track. I gotta say, like, you won't make a dirty pass on them. You'll try to make it, like, clean, or just, you'll kind of, I don't know, it's a different feeling when you are friends with someone and you're racing against them. So I was recently in a documentary that just came out, and I think it was a week ago or something, but it's only on TSN. So it will soon be on, like, Amazon Prime and Netflix and stuff, hopefully soon. But yeah, we were working on it, like, a while back. So it was really random. I was go-karting back then, so I was kind of like, I didn't really think much of myself. And then Mercedes-Benz Canada actually called, they went through the whole thing. And it was pretty cool to see, like, in the documentary how it's like my progression in racing, and like also brought in an interview with like Lewis Hamilton, which is a really cool interview as well. So it brought like a lot more things and just showed the progression in racing as well as my kind of personal life as well. I was driving the F4 car, which they use in the F1 Academy, just to see, just to do a test kind of for what might happen next year, because I know this won't be like the final step in my career, so you know, there's more to come, and you know, the marketing in F1 Academy is amazing, so just to go towards that, as well as the racing in FR is really good, so just want to, you know, use that for this year and then keep moving up. I remember when I was little, I had like a list of things like where I have to be at a certain age. Right now I'm supposed to be in Formula 3, and then FIA F3 would be the next step, of course, but we'll see where it brings me. Of course, like there's IndyCar as well, IMSA, all these kind of things, so we'll see.
I'm 20 years old, and it's almost, I mean, I've been racing cars for 2 years, but I've been racing go-karts for about 10 years. This thing is as competitive as it gets. We don't have a super large field, but the guys at the front are super quick and can compete all across the world. We saw that in New Zealand. I mean, my teammates have all been in New Zealand. They did well. Some of the guys we raced against last year and this year have been across the world. Some of them are even in Indy next now. This series before has had drivers that have moved on to Indy cars, so it's definitely a good stepping stone. And half the reason that we're here is from winning championships in go-karting. That allowed me to get my chance to do racing in cars last year, and we won the championship, so obviously all the eyes are on us. It's tough competition out here for sure, but we're super fast. Just being a race car driver is would make my life, my dreams come true. You know, for sure IndyCar is the main path, being in the U.S., but you know, there's a lot of other options out there with IMSA and sports cars, stuff like that.
Getting into a full race car, it feels big, it feels heavy, but obviously compared to pretty much anything else, like an F4 car that I jumped into is super light. But it feels fast compared to a go-kart. Didn't take as long as I thought it would to get used to it. Kind of just becomes natural after a while, but yeah, it was a cool experience to drive a race car for the first time. I don't take stupid risks and make stupid moves, either if they're my teammate or not. So I think just knowing the guy in front of you doesn't really help. Maybe they won't turn in or something like that, but at the end of the day, we're all racing for our own careers, so I have to maybe make a risky move for more points than maybe not doing that and taking what I can get, because a lot of people can go and win races, but then they'll crash out of the next one. And obviously, if you have an IndyCar team coming in and offering you a free ride or something like that, you kind of have to take it. Because spots in F1 there's only 20 and they don't open up very frequently, so it's just whatever opportunities you have. I'd be happy either way to make a career in racing, so just taking what you can get. The big dream is always Formula 1, so moved up to Formula 4 in 2021 and then moved up to this last year, so now hoping to win the title this year and keep moving up towards F1.
Yeah, it's great having a lot of teammates and also very good teammates. My main championship rivals are my teammates with Patrick and Ryan, and we can see each other's video and data, so it's kind of hard to hide from each other sometimes. So you do have to work together, but when you're on track, since there's so many of us, you still kind of have to race them like anyone else, and And yeah, it's great to have you learn so much from experienced teammates and fast teammates, a lot more than you would without any or slow ones. So it's good.
It makes it easy and tough at the same time. I mean, we have data shared and video shared between us, so everything that I do, the other guys are able to copy. But as well, everything they do, I'm able to copy. So it helps us overall become faster, but also makes us a lot closer. I think if we were all individually doing our own thing, the results would look a little bit different. But at the end of the day, it's a team, and we got to work together. And if one of us is doing well, then it's a win for all of us.
I mean, we see each other's data and videos, so it's really easy to compare to your teammates. And it's good that we're usually all the quickest or up there. So we usually have access to P1's data, so that's always good. But yeah, you do start to see, kind of driving styles or little quirks or techniques over the season for your teammates.
It's interesting because they're all around you, right? So you're always like talking or seeing each other walking around. It's definitely really interesting because we also share the data, which is super nice. So we know where we're supposed to be at. So I can go look at one of the other drivers' data and be like, okay, that's what he's doing, which is a huge benefit, right? Like the other guys can't really do that because the fastest guys are under our tent, right? So they can't really take our data. But yeah, it's definitely cool having them around and talking, and everyone has different experiences, right? So like this guy will drive this way, and just like kind of like learning from them as well is really cool.
Well, honestly, when you get behind the wheel and you get out on the track, everyone is competition. So it actually really helps us. Everyone's quicker because there's more of us. We get to see things that other teams that don't have as much data don't see. We can try different strategies and change setups on the cars, and it's very, very technical. Racing is just a little bit in the car, and 90% of it is done in the trailer with the engineers and the mechanics doing setups and making changes. Data's everything.
Yeah, obviously I don't have anything to compare to, so except the lap times, but you can't really see that much out of that. But I mean, we just need to work on that and work forward. So it will be easier if you have data to look at to see the difference. If you're slow in that corner, it's difficult to know when you're the only one to look at. You can only really look at the video and see if you're doing anything wrong. I'm 17 years old. I'm a European racing driver from Denmark. I usually race in Euro Cup 3 in Europe, and now I'm doing this round in Indianapolis in the regional from America, just to see the championship and try the tracks, just to get a good experience out of it. The track is similar to European tracks. I think it's one of the more similar ones. But the car is definitely different, the drive's different, and yeah, it's a nice car, nice track combination, and it's not the biggest difference from European. I mean, it's the same, the class and everything, but I mean, there's some differences. It's going good already, I feel like. Just keep working, and I do a bit sim racing at home, yeah. I've done a lot of laps on sim in the Indianapolis track, so I mean I know it very well on sim. It's a bit different in real life, the curbs and everything, but it's more or less the same. I want to switch to over here and drive some either this or USF 2000 or just a way to get to IndyCar, since it's my goal. I mean, I think that IndyCar is a bit more special. It's very difficult tracks and nice tracks. It's just a bit more hardcore racing, in my opinion, than F1, for example.
Yeah, so I started racing in go-karting when I was around 11, 12 years old. I moved up to the F4 US Championship last year. Before that, I did a couple of races in other categories as well, but that was my first full season. And now this year, moving up to the FR Americas Championship. Did a little bit of racing in New Zealand this year in the FR Oceania Championship, but now this is my first full year in FR here in America. Around a month ago, we had the Laguna Seca FR Americas Invitational event, where I got my first kind of unofficial win in FR since it wasn't for points. But it went really well, just led from first from the start, and got that under my belt, and it gave me some good confidence going to Road America, and it was probably the best weekend of my career. So I have some good momentum on my side at the moment, and just had to keep executing like I did there. I just put together good laps and just had to do that again. My main goal in racing is to make it to IndyCar. That's my goal. Hopefully I can make it in the next couple years or so, and racing here at IMS is a great start for that.
Well, this is coming to you live from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's hard to believe, but this is the 10-year anniversary of holding a speed tour event at Indianapolis. It started out with just the SVRA doing different vintage groups, and today it's expanded to over 300 cars are racing here this weekend. And what a mix of classes and groups that the fans will have a chance to see. Let's
Datsun 510. In row 9, car 57 is Richard Weisskopf in a Lotus Super 7, and Alan Good, car number 44, is a Triumph TR4A. The only Group 4 car in the field is Bill Trefford in the number 24 1960 Chevy Corvette. Moving forward, next to him in row 8 is car 52. That's Adam Ackley in a Lotus Super 7. Then we've got row 7, the 77 of Alan Schomer in a Mazda MX-5, and the 23A of Michael Levesque in a Chevrolet Yenko Stinger. And finally, the pole sitter of the second wave is the number 7 of John Nash in a Lotus Super 7. The front wave are all Formula First cars. They are Preston Taylor in the number 96 in a Campbell. In row 5, car 11 is Doug Ostelhoff in a VW Evolution, and the 5 of Doug Syme in a Mysterian. Row 4, the 2 of Sean Westerfield in an Evo, and the 56 of Sam Farmiga in an Acer Mark II. Row 3, the 7A of Jamie Monahan in a Citation, and the 37 of James Monahan in a FST Evolution 2. In row 2, the 32A of Matthew Syme in an Evolution, and the 16 of George Podgorski in a Formula First Evolution. Finally, the front row, car 4J, Jason Westerfield in an Evo, and the number 47 of Robert Clark in an Adams Acer J. And they are coming to the line as the green flag flies. For those drivers, Westerfield and Podgorski on the front row as they cross the line, heading down toward turn number 1. See one of the cars pulling off with a problem, it appears, pulling off into the pit lane, it looks like, at the tail end of the field. There's a pretty good battle there. The number 11 of Doug Ostelhoff got a great start up into the top echelon of this field. Working their way through turn number 4, and then heading to the really fast chicane at turns 5 and 6, leading them onto the Holman Straight. Meanwhile, the second wave of Group 3 cars makes its way across start-finish, and it is the Corvair, the Yenko Stinger of Michael Levesque, and that Group 4 Corvette of Bill Trefford, using the horsepower of that C1 Corvette right down to turn number 1. You can see John Nash in the Lotus 7 in second spot, then Levesque in the Corvair And then the other Corvair in the field, the red one, is Jeff Rapp. So the two Corvairs side by side. And finally, the third wave coming across the start finish, and those are the Formula Vees, with Elliot O'Barron and Eric Kopic leading the parade down toward turn number 1. Late on the brakes, Elliot O'Barron back just a little bit. His dad, Elliot J., in the Pegasus Formula V, as we've got a spinner, and it is the 11 car. We just bragged about him, Doug Osselhoff, in that Formula First Evolution. As the field comes across the line with Justin Westerfield at the front, Robert Clark right behind him in the yellow Adams Acer, and then a little bit of a gap back to Matthew Syme in the 32A. Behind him, James Monahan and Doug Syme side by side as they came across the stripe. But Justin Westerfield leading the parade now for the Group 3 cars as the battle between the two Corvairs continues. The Yenko Stinger out in front of Michael Levesque. And then the John Nash, of course, in the Lotus Super 7, taking over the top spot. Then Levesque in the Stinger, followed by the red Corvair of Jeff Rapp, who had a problem yesterday. Here come the Formula Vees off of the banking down onto turn 12 as they head toward the pit entrance. Side-by-side racing there at the exit of turn 12. As the field still sorting itself out as the Vees make their way up onto the front straightaway. The Formula First and the Formula Vees, very similar. The Vees, the older design, if you will, with the 1.3-liter Volkswagen air-cooled motor. The Formula First with the more contemporary 1.6-liter, as well as some improvements to the oiling system with a dry sumps system, disc brakes, and obviously the more horsepower. As we get a good shot of the Group 3 car, the Michael Levesque Yenko Stinger, number 23. Don Yenko, a Chevrolet dealer, homologated these Yenko Stingers to race, I believe, in the under 2-liter Trans Am series back in the day, as Chevrolet didn't want any part of that competition. So Yenko bought a whole bunch of plain white Corvairs and converted them to Yenko Stingers to meet the homologation requirements. Turning our attention to the 56 of Sam Farmiga in his Acer, one of the Formula First cars in the field. Good racing here as these drivers three abreast on the way down the Holman Straight. Robert Clark in that Adams Acer, the yellow number 47, was the leader a lap ago, but he's dropped back to third now with Doug Syme taking over the lead in the blue and pink Mysterian in the Formula First wave. Nose to tail racing for all of these Formula V's. They usually put on a great show. The Formula V's and the Formula Firsts, all these racers have quite a community of their own as they race together all around the country, and it's quite a family in Formula V. One of my favorite classes to call in SCCA competition. As we get a good shot of the red Corvair. It's the number 19 of Jeff Rapp. He had a problem yesterday, but obviously has it sorted, and he is still in the thick of the battle, running third, among the Group 3 cars. John Nash well out in front in that Lotus, 5th overall, as he's picked his way through most of the Formula First field, only 4 cars in front of him. Jeff Rapp a little further back in 11th overall in that red Corvair. And we've got a slow car here on the front straightaway, just crawling along the pit wall. So hopefully on the move enough that he can perhaps pull off into the pit lane. Meanwhile, Michael Levesque and the Yanko Stinger, just a little puff of tire smoke as he turns it into turn number 1. See the 84 car of Barrett Schwartzlos in that Autodynamic, working his way past another driver. Doug Syme, your Formula First leader. Sean Westerfield in second. Robert Clark in third. Among the Formula Vees, Eric Kopic, your leader, over Elliot O. Barron, with Elliot J. Barron right behind him. And sadly, it looks like the safety car is going to be called into play to recover that car that rolled to a stop here. No, they're changing their mind. They're doing a waving yellow here at start finish, just to indicate that there is a slow-moving car right there pulling off into the pit lane. So we're going to stay green on the race course for the time being. Race control asked the safety car to stand by, but then rescinded that order. Doug Syme still out in front of the Formula First wave in his Mysterian with Sean Westerfield. Not that far behind. These cars all running in close formation. The lead draft of cars all the way down to Justin Westerfield, all within about 3 seconds of each other. Westerfield running in 10th position, the top 10 cars within about 3 seconds of each other. Good shot there of the number 32A of Matthew Syme. Here's the other Lotus Super 7 in the field, the number 57 of Richard Weisskopf. That's a Series 2 Super 7. Lowell Houston in his Datsun 510 there, right in the thick of the battle. Had a chance to chat with Lowell at the dinner last night. He's pretty happy with how the car is running for him this weekend. The Group 3 cars, many of them not really a match for these much more nimble Formula First machines, but Lowell holding his own right there in the thick of that battle. We don't normally see the tin tops and the open wheel cars run in the same classes, but we had such a big entry here that in order to get everybody the track time, some of the Group 3 and 4 cars mixed in with the Formula First and Formula Vees here in Group 1. Oh, and trouble for Levesque in the Yanko Stinger. The number 23 has pulled to a stop. It looks to be right at the exit of turn 2, and a little smoke coming out of the back. Perhaps an overheating issue for the 23. Of course, the air-cooled 2.7 liter flat 6 in that Corvair. The TR4 in the number 44 of Alan Good. It's a 67 TR4A. And problems once again for the 11 of Doug Ostelhoff. He had an issue earlier on, and now that car has let him down once again, and that appears to be right at the pit entrance, I believe. That's the museum in the background. Yes, he's there at the entrance to turn 13. And this time they are going to bring the safety car into play, because that car and Michael Levesque's Stinger not in a great place. So we may have to bring the safety car out to slow the field down so that we can get course vehicles out there to attend to those two stranded cars. But until that's Just you can see them passing by the stranded car. Both those cars are at the same spot on different sides of the racetrack. And the double yellow flags do indeed come out, so that will slow the pack down to allow safety workers there to recover the number 11 of Doug Ostelhoff in his Formula First Evolution. And the 23A Yenko Stinger of Michael Levesque from Group 3. Lowell Houston in that maroon Datsun 510. Circulating. Lowell works with us on the Formula Regional Americas and the F4 US and Ligier JSF4 championships as one of our tech inspectors. But when he has the opportunity, when we have SVRA competition running with us, when he has the opportunity, he brings out his Datsun 510. You see the 44 once again of Alan Good in his Triumph. Showing a white flag at the starter stand here just in front of us to indicate a slow-moving emergency vehicle perhaps on the racetrack. Let's do a rundown for you as we've still got about 9 minutes remaining in this one. Doug Syme is the leader overall and in Formula First in the number 5. Robert Clark in the 47. In second spot, Sean Westerfield in the number 2. In the third spot, Justin Westerfield, George Podgorski. Your top 5, all from Formula First. The leader in the Group 3 cars, John Nash in the number 7. Jeff Rapp right behind him in the number 19 Corvair. Bill Treffert in that Group 4 C1 Corvette, late C1 with the quad headlights. Alan Schomer in the 77 Miata, also in that Group 3 wave. And then the Formula Vees, Eric Kopic is your leader in the number 92, with Elliot O'Barron in the 32B Zinc, with Elliot J. Barron in the silver Pegasus in the third spot. Craig Klinger in the Schnepp Formula V, built by Chargin' Charlie Schnepp. Might be a one-off, we believe. We're not aware of any other Schnepps, at least we haven't run across any. And right behind him is Elliot J. Barron, who's running second. The Schnepp is a lap down. Elliot J. Barron in that number 23 Pegasus with the yellow trim. Once again, this field well spread out around the racetrack, so it's taken a while to get them packed up behind the safety car. Looking at our class breakdowns in the Formula First, as we mentioned, Justin Westerfield, your leader. Robert Clark in second. Sean Westerfield in third. Doug Syme in the fourth spot. In 3C production, John Nash, your leader, in the number 7 Super 7. Adam Ackley in the 52, about 50 seconds behind him. Alan Good in the number 44 Triumph, running third in C production. In Formula V, Eric Kopic, your leader, in the 92. Elliot O'Barron, the son, in the 32B. Elliot J., the dad, in the 23. With David McMasters in the 11A and Donald Rossingham in the 141, your top 5 in Formula V. Safety vehicles, you can see there on the front straightaway down near the end of the pit wall. Attending to that, and we're hearing from race control that we're not going to have time to get this one restarted. So when they grab the leader, the number 4 car of Justin Westerfield, we're going to bring them across the line and throw the checkers. So again, with this big field of 40 cars spread out all over the racetrack, just a little issue getting the safety car in front of the right car to bring them around for the finish. So Justin Westerfield going to take the win in Formula First. Robert Clark in second spot. Sean Westerfield in third. Doug Syme and Matthew Syme rounding out the top 5. John Nash will come across the line as the leader in the Group 3 wave, 10th overall for the number 7 Lotus Super 7. Jeff Rapp will take second spot in the red Corvair. Bill Treffert in the number 24 Group 4 Corvette, finishing third in the Group 3 wave. Alan Schomer in the Mazda Miata, finishing third in Group 3. In the Formula Vees, Eric Kopic leading pretty much from the pole in his white number 92 Lynx, with Elliot O'Barron in the 32B in the red Zinc, and Elliot J. Barron in the number 23 Pegasus, your top 3 in Formula V. We mentioned Lowell Houston as the only B sedan in the field in the Group 3 in his number 71. So this one didn't end under the green, unfortunately, but as we had a number of cars, at least 3 cars total, 2 here at turn 13 and another stranded on the front straightaway. Doug Ostelhoff, one of those cars with a problem. Michael Levesque, the other. And Hunter Barron was the car that rolled to a stop on the front straightaway, we believe, the number 112. Eric Whitnable taking his position out on the pit straightaway to guide the podium finishers from each of the classes into the victory circle. Eric hosts our podium celebrations for all of our SVRA classes. I have the honor of doing so for the Formula Regional America classes, and we heard earlier on Ken Fengler handling the podium chores for International GT. While we have just a break before we grid the Formula Regional Americas drivers for their second race of the weekend, we have an interview with the points leader and the pole sitter. That's Patrick Woods-Toth.
I'm 20 years old, and it's almost, I've been racing cars for 2 years, but I've been racing go-karts for about 10 years. This thing is as competitive as it gets. We don't have a super large field, but the guys at the front are super quick and can compete all across the world. We saw that in New Zealand. My teammates have all been in New Zealand. They did well. Some of the guys we raced against last year and this year have been across the world. Some of them are even in Indy next now. This series before has had drivers that have moved on to Indy cars, so it's definitely a good stepping stone. And half the reason that we're here is from winning championships in go-karting. That allowed me to get my chance to do racing in cars last year, and we won the championship, so obviously all the eyes are on us. It's tough competition out here for sure, but we're super fast. Just being a race car driver is would make my life, my dreams come true. For sure, IndyCar is the main path, being in the U.S. But there's a lot of other options out there with IMSA and sports cars, stuff like that.
Great to hear from Patrick Woods-Toth, a Canadian, a Quebecois, who's had a meteoric rise into the open-wheel racing ranks. He was the winner of the Radford Racing School's Karts to Cars Scholarship a year ago, and took advantage of that in order to race in the F4 U.S. Championship a year ago, and turned that into a championship as he raced to the championship in the F4 U.S. competition a year ago, and taking advantage of the scholarship to move up to the Formula Regional Americas Championship so far. And he's had a good season so far this year as well, with 3 wins already, including a win here yesterday, which put him in the points lead by just 7 markers over his teammate Ryan Sheehan. Titus Sherlock in the number 31, currently 3rd in the points in the Formula Regional Americas Championship. But we'll introduce all of those drivers coming up in just a few minutes as we get ready to grid them for a 10 a.m. start. We're just a few minutes behind schedule because of this safety car delay in the Group 1 race just concluded. While we're waiting to get these cars on the grid, we have another interview with the driver who is second in the points, as we mentioned, only 7 points behind his teammate Patrick Woods-Toth, and that's Ryan Sheehan from Austin, Texas.
Getting into a full race car, it feels big, it feels heavy, but obviously compared to pretty much anything else, like an F4 car that I jumped into is super light, but it feels fast compared to a go-kart. Didn't take as long as I thought it would to get used to it. Kind of just becomes natural after a while, but yeah, it was a cool experience to drive a race car for the first time. I don't take stupid risks and make stupid moves, either if they're my teammate or not. So I think just knowing the guy in front of you doesn't really help. Maybe they won't turn in or something like that, but at the end of the day, we're all racing for our own careers, so I have to maybe make a risky move for more points than maybe not doing that and taking what I can get, because a lot of people can go and win races, but then they'll crash out of the next one. And obviously, if you have an IndyCar team coming and offering you a free ride or something like that, you kind of have to take it. Because spots in F1 there's only 20 and they don't open up very frequently, so it's just whatever opportunities you have. I'd be happy either way to make a career in racing, so just taking what you can get. The big dream is always Formula 1, so moved up to Formula 4 in 2021 and then moved up to this last year, so now hoping to win the title this year and keep moving up towards F1.
Great to hear from Ryan Sheehan, talking about his aspirations. This ladder series for the Formula Regional Americas Championship is the second rung. The F4 U.S. Championship, the first rung of the FIA ladder, which ends at the top of the heap at the Formula One World Championship. So I think all of these drivers have that as a dream. Realistically, that's a mountain that's tough to climb, and so a number of our graduates have moved on to the road to Indy and have landed in the IndyCar series. We also have a couple drivers who've made it to the top ranks of IMSA competition as well. Kyle Kirkwood is a poster boy for our series as he swept the F4 championship in the second year of asking, and then moved up to the Formula Regional Championship in its inaugural season in 2018, won that championship, then moved over to the other ladder and swept every one of those championships, the F2000, 2000 Pro, and Indy Lights. Landed a ride with A.J. Foyt in his first season and is now with the Andretti team and is already a race winner in IndyCar. So Kyle certainly shows what it takes for our drivers to make it to the top ranks of racing in this country, and we certainly wish all of these drivers the best of luck as they move forward, perhaps internationally or here in this country as well. We'd like to welcome those of you here on the live stream, again at youtube.com/SpeedTourTV. And thanks to our friends at Live Race Media for providing the images for us. My name's John Phippen, the spokesman for the Formula Regional Americas Championship, and we're glad to bring you their 3 races here this weekend. This is round 2 about to take place. The 3-minute warning's been given to the grid, so they'll be making their way out onto the racetrack here momentarily. We do a Formula One style standing start for this race and all of our races, so the drivers will follow the safety car around on a formation lap and then come to their grid positions here on the front straightaway. We'll trigger the light sequence to get the race underway. 5 red lights come on at 1-second intervals, and then a random amount of time expires. Then those lights extinguish, and that's the signal to drop the clutch and make the run down toward turn number 1. It's a timed race of 30 minutes, so lap count doesn't count. It's strictly who's leading at the end of 30 minutes. And we've got 14 drivers in the field here this weekend, including one driver making his first start with us. Once we roll away on the formation lap, we'll introduce the field to you. And great to have you with us for this beautiful day here in Indianapolis. It's going to be a hot one. Temperatures in the mid-90s later this afternoon, but this morning at least it's still nice and cool. So it should make for some good racing, as we had a great one yesterday with Patrick Woods-Toth taking the victory to break the tie he had with Ryan Sheehan coming into this weekend. And he now has the points lead back, which he had earlier this season. This is our 3rd venue. We race, at most of our venues, we race 3 races at each venue. We started the season at NOLA, and then Road America was our most recent round, and then we had our first race of the weekend here at Indianapolis yesterday with Woods-Toth taking the win, Ryan Sheehan finishing second, and debutant Theodore Jensen finishing on the podium. But the cars are rolling down the pit lane behind the Ginetta safety car. James Rogerson is our safety car driver. And as he brings the field around, let's introduce them to you. Starting at the back in row number 7 on the outside is the number 77 of James Lawley. He's sponsored by Kart Bond and the Atlantic Racing Team. Next to him in row number 7 is the number 22 of Hayden Bowlesby. Hayden out of Folsom, Louisiana. He races for the IGY6 Motorsports team. He's sponsored by Save 22. In row number 6 on the outside is car 17. That's Justin Garrett from Miami, Florida. Justin races for the Speed Factory team in that number 17 car. Alongside Justin in that 6th row is the 07 of Anthony Autilio out of Cranston, Rhode Island. Autilio is the driver for the Momentum Motorsports team. In row number 5 on the outside, car number 24, Kevin Jansen, the other of our Masters competitors from Deerfield Beach, Florida. He's sponsored by the U.S. Power Group Data Center Solutions and for Crosslink Kiwi. Next to him, Landon Matriano Lim in the number 9073 for 739 Racing and Crosslink Kiwi Motorsports. Next up is Rico Slauman in the number 25 car. Rico out of Los Angeles, California for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsports. Next to him is the only female in the field. That's car number 6, Nicole Laverda from Courtney, British Columbia, Canada. She's sponsored by Valley Kitchens and Colonial Countertops for Crosslink Kiwi Racing. In row 3, car number 55, Nico Ambiato. He's a Chilean from Santiago, living in Davenport, Florida. Sponsored by T-Link and Allegro for the Velox USA Speed Factory team. Next to him is the debutant, the driver making his first start with us, car number 1, Theodor Jensen from Randers, Denmark. He drives for Jensen Global Advisors, no relation, by the way. And Theodor had a great run yesterday, finishing on the podium in his first race with us. In row 2, on the outside, car 02, Jet Bowling from Dallas, Texas. He races for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsports. Next to him is his teammate, car number 31, Titus Sherlock from Prosper, Texas, for Crosslink Kiwi as well. And on the front row, the two drivers that we talked to earlier, the number 66 is Ryan Sheehan from Austin, Texas. He races for Crosslink Kiwi, currently second in the points. And our pole sitter and the reigning F4 U.S. champion, car number 27, is Patrick Woods-Toth from Saint-Lazare, Quebec. He races, of course, for Crosslink Kiwi as well. He is the points leader, again, after notching the win in yesterday's first race of the weekend. As the field has been turned loose onto the front straightaway as they begin to roll into position. You can see a couple of our grid marshals there at the head of the grid, indicating where the front row is. The pole sitter will pull off to the right, and there goes Patrick Woods-Toth into his pit box. Ryan Sheehan pulls in alongside him as the grid marshals clear the front of the grid. You can see crew members lined up on the pit wall, guiding their drivers into their pit box. Our race director, Scott Goodyear, in radio communication with all the teams, and he can also speak directly to the drivers if the need arises, as it looks like the last of the field rolling into position. And we're getting ready for the start. Again, when the field is full, the green lights come on the light sequence. There it is. And now the light sequence begins. You can see the red lights counting down. There's 2, 3, 4. They go out, and we are away. And a good, clean start. Ryan Sheehan got a good jump, but Titus Sherlock got a really good jump. And he's going to make it 3 wide as Patrick Woods-Toth goes off to driver's right, trying to squeeze his teammate just a little bit. Down into turn number 1. Brake lock up from Titus Sherlock, but Woods-Toth and Ryan Sheehan sweep into the front as the Theodor Jensen car in that light blue and dark blue liveried machine for Jensen slots into the 5th spot. Just in front of him is Jet Bowling in the 02. And a good battle for second between Titus Sherlock and Ryan Sheehan. Titus wasn't happy with his finish yesterday as he finished off the podium. And we had a spin already. The 73 of London Montreal Lim had a spin at 1, and looks like Theodor Jensen might have gone around as well, just in the background. We'll sort that out, but Patrick Woods-Toth out in front. Titus Sherlock has gotten around his teammate to move up into that 2nd spot. Big brake lock up there, a little deeper in the pack as these cars coming around on the first lap with cold tires. Takes just a lap or 2. There's Theodor Jensen. He got the car refired, so he's going to have an uphill struggle here to get that job done. But it is Woods-Toth across the line first. Titus Sherlock in 2nd. Ryan Sheehan 3rd. Jet Bowling finishing in the 4th spot as they complete race lap number 1. The squeeze play there in the run down toward turn number 1 between Woods-Toth and Titus Sherlock. The team's going to give a close look from the pit wall to see if there's any wing damage on either of those cars. But we understand the safety car is going to be called into play here as the 07 of Anthony Autillo has spun it at turn number 1, it appears. As he's trying to get that car refired. So we'll back it down under the double yellows. And the field will pack up behind the safety car. Patrick Woods-Toth, your leader. Titus Sherlock in second. Ryan Sheehan in third. 0-2 of Jet Bowling in fourth. That's a sweep of the top 4 positions from the Crosslink Kiwi team. Make that the top 5 as Nicola Verda in the number 6. He slots into 5th spot. Hayden Bowlesby in the number 22 in 6th. Justin Garrett in the Speed Factory number 17 in 7th. Kevin Jansen up to 8th. That's a good spot for Kevin. James Lawley in the 77, who started at the back of the pack, up into 9th. Rico Slauman in the 25 is 10th. Anthony Autiello in the number 07 had that spin at turn number 1, so he's going to drop down the order. Nico Ambiato, Theodore Jensen, and Landon Matriano Lim just now rolling down the pit lane. Lim will go a lap down after his spin earlier in that first lap. Autiello and Jensen also behind. Jensen, I believe, was able to go under his own power, but I don't know if he had to make a stop in the pit lane. There's Autiello's number 07 car. So Theodore Jensen perhaps with an issue after. Here he comes across the line. So yeah, he's still in the hunt. Autiello heading into the pit lane with some front wing damage. So in his spin there at turn 1, he knocked the front wing loose. So he's going to have to replace the nose on that 07 car. Phil Picard and the Momentum Motorsports crew right here in front of us as they have the new front wing at the ready. So Autiello, unfortunately, will likely go a lap down here. Crews are permitted 3 workers over the pit wall to work on the cars. Already got the old nose, or in the process of loosening the old nose, getting ready to get it on. It's a little more of an involved process than you might see in Formula One, where they can replace that nose in a matter of about 10 seconds. It takes a little bit longer to make the change here. So Autiello's most likely going to go a lap down. He and Kevin Jansen are battling for the Masters Championship for drivers over the age of 35. And we're about ready to restart. The safety car has pulled into the pit lane as all cars accounted for. And here they come to the green flag. Once again, right to the edge of the pit wall goes Patrick Woods-Toth, but Titus Sherlock gets a great jump, and he's going to try to take the lead here as they go side by side into turn 1, but he has to defer to his teammate as Woods-Toth maintains the lead. That's Ryan Sheehan right behind him in the 3rd spot, and a little gap back to Jet Bowling. As Titus Sherlock looking really racy here. He wants that lead if he can get it as they make it through the chicane. And he is tucked right on the rear wing of his teammate and the points leader. Woods-Toth trying to block him from making that pass. They go side by side through turn 7, and it looks like Titus Sherlock has taken over the lead, and Ryan Sheehan's going to try to follow him through, and they touch. There's a little half spin from Woods-Toth. He kept the engine running. And he is going to have an uphill struggle now as that damp grass takes a while to get a little traction. He's going to join at the back. Let's see how well he can come from deep in the pack now. So Titus Sherlock with the lead, looking for his 3rd win on the season. He had back-to-back wins at Road America in rounds 5 and 6. So shown he can really run at the front. But Ryan Sheehan comes by in the lead. As you can see, the damaged nose of Autiello's car as he has rejoined, but unfortunately is a lap down. Ryan Sheehan now your leader. Jed Bowling in second. Justin Garrett in third. Titus Sherlock dropping all the way to the back, so he had a spin as well. So Titus had the lead briefly, but Ryan Sheehan now taking over that top spot. Oh, Jed Bowling going side by side with Justin Garrett. And it looks like Bowling. Yeah, we're hearing that the 31 car of Titus Sherlock reporting that he has no power, so he's coming in. There's Landon Matriano Lim in the pit lane once again, as he had a spin early on as well. You can see the rear cowling off that car, so an engine problem perhaps. As this has been an eventful race number 2. Race 1 was relatively straightforward, but this one has already had some drama to it. Ryan Sheehan, your leader, and just setting the fastest race lap. Jed Bowling in second. Nicola Verda up to third, looking for her third podium on the season. Hayden Bowlesby in fourth. Nico Ambiato in fifth. Rico Sloman in sixth. Theodore Jensen recovering from his spin in seventh. Kevin Jansen eighth. James Lawley ninth. Woods Toth back up to 10th now, and he is about 3 seconds quicker than the cars around him, so look for Woods Toth to pick his way up through the field. He's about 2.8 seconds behind James Lawley in ninth right now. Ryan Sheehan out in front at the line. He was about 1.8 seconds in front of his teammate, Jed Bowling. Nicola Verda, another 1.2 seconds further back. Sheehan with the fastest lap of the race, as we mentioned, a 1:23.577. There's Autillo just now coming by the line. He is a lap down to the lead of the race. He will inherit 12th place the next time by. As Ryan Sheehan sets another fast lap with a 23.4. And stretches his advantage up to over 2 seconds now, 2.5 seconds for Sheehan. He is a 19-year-old, as we mentioned, living in Austin, Texas. He was the vice champion of this championship a year ago. 2 wins and 11 podiums. A championship that went right down to the last weekend of racing before Patrick Woods Toth was able to clinch the championship. So Ryan was right in the hunt up until the end of the season, and he will take over the points lead here if he can maintain this position that he's in right now. A little bit of a lockup there from Nico Ambiato, the 5th place runner in the 55 car. And some side-by-side racing as Patrick Woods Toth goes around Kevin Jansen, I believe. That moves him up into 8th position. 22 of Hayden Bowlesby just in front of Nico Ambiato. Bowlesby from Folsom, Louisiana. As Landon Matriano Lim rolling back down the pit lane. We'll see if he's able to rejoin. Theodore Jensen closing on the back of Rico Sloman. Jensen, if you remember, had a spin on the first lap, and he's looking to take over that 6th position. That battle's right in front of us there at turn 1. Sloman in front of him in the 25, Jensen in the number 1. Similar color scheme on the livery, but they're not teammates. Sloman racing for Crosslink Kiwi, Jensen for the Jensen team. As we mentioned, no relation. Eric Jensen, the team principal. Discovered Theodore, talked to him yesterday during the fan walk, discovered Theodore and did some testing with him and said, this guy's the real deal. Theodore jumped right into open wheel racing in his native Denmark, racing in the Danish F4 championship. 5 wins and 2 podiums a season ago. Currently is fourth among the drivers in the 2024 Euro Cup Formula 3 Championship. So he comes with a good racing pedigree from Europe and certainly showed that he's going to be a factor here, finishing on the podium in his first race with us. You can see him there closing up on the back of Rico Slauman as they come down across start-finish. See if he's close enough to pull the trigger as he's right in the draft. Down into turn number 1. He pops to the inside. Let's see if Slauman's going to fight him. He's not. So Jensen moves up one spot into 6th position. Patrick Woods-Toth is about 4 seconds behind him and has just set the fast lap of the race at a 23 flat. So Woods-Toth is going to pick up as many places as he can, currently lying in the 8th spot. Jet Bowling with Nicola Verda just behind him. Hayden Bowlesby right behind her. Nico Ambiato at the tail end of that train. Rico Slauman, and there is Theodore Jensen moving around another driver as he tries to work his way forward. Anthony Autiello in the 07 with the changed nose is right in the thick of that battle, but he is a lap down to the leaders. And we're hearing from race control that the safety car is coming out again. And that's the reason. The 77 of James Lawley has beached it. So that is going to be a godsend for Patrick Woods-Toth as he will be able to pack up behind the safety car. Coming up on halfway in this 30-minute race, so there's still plenty of racing left to go. It looks like Lawley should be a pretty quick recovery, we hope. There he is, there at the outside of turn number 3. Just overcooking it just a bit coming out of turn 2 and got it off into the gravel trap, which did its job and slowed the car down. But unfortunately, once in the gravel, you usually can't drive it out as these cars are so low to the ground. The under tray digs into the gravel and you're pretty much stuck. So let's do a quick recap here. Ryan Sheehan is your new leader. Jet Bowling, his teammate in the 02 in second. Nicola Verda in the number 6 is third. Hayden Bowlesby running in the 4th spot. 5th goes to Nico Ambiato. 6th to Theodore Jensen in recovery mode. Rico Slauman in 7th. Patrick Woods-Toth just behind him in the 27. And he holds the fast lap of the race. Justin Garrett in the 17 in 9th. Kevin Jansen in the final points-paying position in the 24 car. Lawley, Autiello, Landon Montriano Lim, and Titus Sherlock all with problems. The field spread out around the track will be packing up behind the safety car. Here's a shot of Justin Garrett in the number 17, currently running in the 9th position. Hayden Bowlesby currently lying in 4th position. Has one podium so far this season. He finished 3rd at his home race at NOLA at our first weekend. He's had 5 points-paying finishes out of the 7 races that we've had so far. Nicola Verda looking for her 3rd podium, on the season. She's also been in the points in 6 of the 7 races. She currently lies 5th in the points table. She's only 2 behind Cole Kleck, who is not racing with us this weekend. Cole raced with us in the first race weekend at NOLA, but has not been back since. But he had a win a second and a third at NOLA, and that still keeps him in the top 4 in the points, but obviously he'll be overhauled by those drivers behind him. So Nicole certainly in a position to move up. She's, like I said, only 5 points behind Nico Ambiato, who is only 2 behind Cole Kleck. Landon Montriano-Lim in the 73 car is rolling again. He is 2 laps down to the leaders as he's been in and out of the pits, saying that they've had a turbocharger issue of some kind with the engine, so he's down on power, and he's radioed to his crew that he's at the tail end of the pack here, and he's going to try to stay out of the way. Kevin Jansen having made a call to the pits as well. So now he is a couple laps down, as Jansen had to make a call to the pits. So Attilo, Jansen, both 2 laps down. James Lawley, stuck in the gravel trap, is now 3 laps down as they're still in recovery mode on his car. Montriano-Lim is now 4 laps down to the leaders, and Titus Sherlock, the first retirement after only 4 laps with an unknown technical problem in his car. So 9 cars remain on the lead lap. As you can see, Lawley's car with apparently more difficulties than just driving out of the gravel trap, as they've loaded it onto the flatbed. And they should be able to move away now that the field has gone past, and with a little luck, we'll go green this next time by. With just about 10 minutes remaining. And to add insult to injury for Kevin Jansen, he's going to be hit with a pit speed violation, which will be penalized. Usually a time penalty is added to his finishing time. And confirmation that we will be going green this time by, as James Lawley's car heading back to the paddock on the tilt bed, or on the flatbed, I guess I should say. As the field coming down through turn number 7, you can see the grandstand and the pagoda there in the background from this wide shot. It'll be about a 9-minute sprint to the finish here once we get the green flag. Sheehan, Bowling, and Averda, all from Crosslink Kiwi. Hayden Bowlesby in the IGY6 number 22. Nico Ambiato, Velox USA Speed Factory team in 5th. Theodore Jensen for Jensen in 6th. Rico Slauman for Crosslink Kiwi in 7th. Patrick Woods-Toth, the erstwhile points leader, in the 27. Be interesting to see what he's able to do here, as we know he's got a fast car. See if he can do anything with that as they come to the green flag. Onto the front straightaway comes the field. The green is in the air. Ryan Sheehan gets a good jump. Woods-Toth already battling with Justin Garrett for 8th and 9th. You can see Ambiato diving down to the inside. A little side-to-side contact in that battle with Hayden Bowlesby. Through turn 4 they come. Bowlesby now coming under pressure from Theodore Jensen as he's in recovery mode as well. A podium finisher in his first race with us earlier this weekend. Ryan Sheehan with the orange highlights on the rear wing. Jet Bowling in the silverish livery. Nicola Verda with a very attractive livery with stars on it, and the number 6 car as they work their way down toward turn number 12. The Nicole being pressured now by Nico Ambiato as he's moved up a spot. Theodore Jensen with Woods Toth, I believe, right behind him as they come across the line. No, I'm sorry, that was the 22. I misidentified that. That's Hayden Bowlesby just behind Jensen. Woods Toth up to 8th now as he got around Justin Garrett. Looks like Kevin Jansen out of this one as he's out of the car in the number 24, just outside the points in 11th. Theodore Jensen is the driver on the move right behind Nico Ambiato and pressuring him. And that's Nicola Verda in front of Nico. So that's the battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Woods Toth all over the back of Rico Slauman to see if he can move up one more spot. Oh, and Ambiato thinks about it, diving down to the inside of Nicola Verda, but can't quite close the deal. Theodore Jensen and Hayden Bowlesby right behind him. There's Bowlesby in the 22. And I believe that's Woods Toth right behind him as he has moved around Rico Slauman. A little brake lock up from a couple of the cars as they come on to turn 13 and 14, which leads them onto the front straightaway. Theodore Jensen looking racy here, right on the back of Nico Ambiato, trying to move up into 4th spot. There's Nicola Verda just in front, then Ambiato, then Jensen. Then Hayden Bowlesby, then Patrick Woods Toth right behind him. Rico Slauman back into 8th position. Out of turn 4 comes this battle for the final step on the podium. Meanwhile, Ryan Sheehan and Jet Bowling getting away at the front. Nicola Verda holding off the challenge from Ambiato and Theodore Jensen. Nicole in that number 6. Jensen trying to go to the inside of the Chilean, Nico Ambiato. Can't quite find a way around there as they head down toward turn number 12. They stay line astern. These cars generate a lot of downforce, of course, and so it makes it difficult to follow closely because the disturbed air coming off the diffuser in the rear wing of the leading car takes air off the front wing of the following car. Makes it difficult to make those passes, so you've got to be a little tactical. And speaking of tactical, Hayden Bowlesby trying to keep the points leader Woods Toth behind him. Theodore Jensen thought about diving to the inside, but Nico Ambiato made his car as wide as possible to keep that from happening. So Jensen's showing good maturity here for a 17, almost 18-year-old out of Randers, Denmark, making his first start with us. There goes our top 2, Sheehan and Bowling, in this battle we've been following for the final step on the podium. Verda, Ambiato, and Jensen. Staying in that order with now about 3.5 minutes remaining. I'm guessing we'll hear from timing and scoring that we'll see the white flag not this time by, but next, as we approach the end of the 30 minutes. Top 2 positions not in much contention. Sheehan with about a 2.5 second lead over Bowling, who in turn has about a 2.5 second lead over this battle. But Nicola Verda gets a good run onto the front straightaway. And she opens up just a little breathing room over Nico Ambiato. Hayden Bowlesby with Patrick Woods Toth in tow. Jensen peeks out just to get a little fresh air on the wing. But we will see the white flag next time by. We're hearing from timing and scoring. Verda, Ambiato, and Jensen battling for the final step on the podium. As they slot it through the chicane at 5 and 6. Make the run under the bridge toward turn 7. Line astern through 8 and 9. Now heading for turn 10. And from this point on, it's pretty much foot to the floor as they work their way through the sweeping turn 11 up onto the banking. Once again, Theodore Jensen stepping out, taking a little wider approach, looking for an advantage down into turn 12, one of the better passing opportunities on the racetrack, but not close enough. As this three-way battle for third place continues to be the best one on the racetrack. Top two already by start finish under the white flag, 1 lap to go. Hayden Bowlesby being a little defensive as he's trying to keep Patrick Woods-Toth behind him. Woods-Toth pops out to the outside. He's going to try a leg braking maneuver here and locks up a wheel. They're still side by side as Nico Ambiato has spun it right there at turn number 1 on the final lap. Still side by side are Woods-Toth and Bowlesby. Woods-Toth to the inside now, and he's gotten it done. So Patrick Woods-Toth moves up another spot, but Ambiato having spun, this is now the battle for 4th. So now it's a two-way battle between Nicole Averda and Theodore Jensen. Jensen dives to the inside at turn 7. Nicole gives him racing room, but maintains her lead through 8 and 9. Again, this battle for the final step on the podium. Woods-Toth and Bowlesby still side by side in the background. But here they come through turn number 10 and 11. Up onto the banking, waiting for the hard braking zone at turn 12. Nicole's able to keep the position. Jensen has maybe one more opportunity here, and I think that's pretty much gone. Here comes Ryan Sheehan. He will take the win and the points lead. As the battle for third comes to the line, there goes Jed Bowling. He'll take second. And Nicole Averda holds off the challenge from Theodore Jensen. At the line, it is Hayden Bowlesby in 5th spot. Patrick Woods-Toth has to settle for 6th after that spin in the early going. Nico Ambiato is able to, that's Landon Montriano Lim. Patrick Woods-Toth finishing in 6th. Justin Garrett in 7th. Rico Slauman across the line in 8th. And Nico Ambiato has not yet come across the line, but he'll be scored in 9th. Anthony Otillo, despite being 4 laps down, will still get 10th place honors. And a lot of smoke coming out of, I believe that may be Ambiato's car. It is Nico Ambiato's car with a big puff of smoke. So a problem with the power plant in his car. We're going to head down to Victory Circle to talk to our top 3 finishers with an exciting race number 2 on the weekend. We've got one more coming up this afternoon at 2:30. So for those of you watching the stream, we'll be back with you for the next race, which will be for Sports 2000 coming up, scheduled to start at 10:50. I'll talk to you then from the podium.
America Speed Tour returns to Road America June 28th through the 30th, featuring the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli, the Cube 3 Architecture TA2 Series, International GT, PSSA, FRP, and Optima Search for the Ultimate Street Car. Saturday, you can take part in the Haggerty Cars and Caffeine Car Show with Parade Lab. You do not want to miss the Road America Speed Tour. For tickets, simply go to speedtour.net.
Let's get our podium celebration underway for round 2 of the weekend for the Formula Regional Americas Championship. Her third podium on the season, Nicole Haverda. Come on, Nicole, come on up. That was an eventful race.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, just holy cow. A lot of mistakes, obviously, from the others, which I caught on to and just kept going through. That's what I needed from yesterday. I made my own mistake. So coming back strong felt really good. On to another.
Theodore was really piling on the pressure there at the end. Great job.
Yeah, last lap. I was like, no, not today. I need this podium. But yeah, it was a good race.
Well done. Anybody you'd like to thank?
Everyone, all the Kiwi guys, and happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, mine as well. And yeah, thank you to everyone who came out, and thank you to the facility as well for Indianapolis, iconic, right? So thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nicole Haverda on the podium. Her third podium on the season. Let's bring up a driver in only his second podium on the season, and that's Jet Bowling, ladies and gentlemen. Jet, my friend, well done.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a pretty crazy race. There's a lot of random contact everywhere.
I was going to say, on that first run down to the first straightaway, you guys were like 3 wide coming down into the first turn.
Yeah, I got lucky there. I wasn't in the mess, so I just went outside and stayed in my line.
Anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, he's been a huge help as my coach. Davey, he's a mastermind in the engineering room. Alex, the best mechanic on the grid for sure. And the Lord above, of course.
Well done. Happy Father's Day, my friend.
Thank you.
Jet Bowling on second step on the podium. Win number 3 on the season to go along with 3 podiums. And your new points leader, Ryan Sheehan, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of a squeeze play on the run down to the first turn.
Yeah, it was interesting. I got a better start yesterday, so I cleared Patrick by turn 1, but today I had to really fight on the outside, and we saw yesterday that didn't really work for Titus, so I was a bit worried about it, but held on for second, and then Titus got me, but I was able to get back to the lead after the restart.
Yeah, after the restart, it looked like it was pretty much plain sailing for you. Anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, the whole Crossing Kiwi team, my parents, all my sponsors, Harrison Noel, Sawbelt, Goose Creek, my engineer, Steven. Big thanks to them.
Well done.
Thank you.
Good luck this afternoon. Ryan Sheehan, 3-time winner on the season now. Hankook hats on all of our drivers as we acknowledge our presenting sponsors for each of our podium celebrations. Now we'll make the hat dance change to the Ligier hats for all 3 of our drivers. Trophies up one more time, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I'm going to clear the area. Let's have one more round of applause for Nicole Haverda, Jet Bowling, and your winner, Ryan Sheehan.
This is coming to you live from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's hard to believe, but this is the 10-year anniversary of holding a speed tour event at Indianapolis. It started out with just the SVRA doing different vintage groups, and today it's expanded to over 300 cars are racing here this weekend. And what a mix of classes and groups that the fans will have a chance to see. Let's start with the oldest. In this shop, you'll see there's 19 race cars that were prepared as they were raced pre-1920. So from 1900 to 1920, that is one race group that we call the pre-war class. That's organized by a guy named Brian Blaine, who brings this show around the country. The interesting thing, one of the cars here raced in the very first Indianapolis 500. That'll give you an idea of the quality of cars that are here. Then going forward and through the litany of classes, Group 1 is small bore production cars. Cars like Triumphs, MGs fill that class. Group 2 is open wheel formula cars, predominantly run with Formula Fords, but we also have a subgroup within that of Formula B cars, predominantly being Brabham cars. In fact, Jeff Brabham himself is racing here this weekend. Group 3 is also small bore production with just a little bit bigger displacement, but still typically 4-cylinder or less. Group 4 is from 1954 to 1959 production cars, U.S. cars. Group 6 is Group 5, I'm getting them all out of order. There's too many classes. Group 5 is, for the most part, sports racers. They're purpose-built race cars with small bore displacement. Group 6 is American muscle. Big block, small block, Corvettes, Camaros, Mustangs, Challengers. These are ground pounders that guys like me grew up with. Group 7 is a purpose-built race car that has a bigger bore. Group 8 is medium bore production cars. Cars like Alfa Romeos, Ferraris, Porsches, etc. Group 9, watch out. These are Indy level cars, Formula 1 level cars, open wheel, crazy fast. Group 10 is newer production cars. Group 11 is prototype cars. And Group 12 is newer production cars. And within the Group 10, to back up, there's also a full dedicated stock car class that has former NASCAR Cup level cars in it. So if you're a race fan, something that tickles your toes is here, I can tell you. It is a fabulous event, and it's just so nice. I mean, for me, to come here every year, as a kid I watched the 500, dating back to a black and white TV. So to come through that tunnel, go out through Gasoline Alley, I've personally raced here for some of our events. It's magical. Well, this is coming to you.
Tony Perella, the man who made all this happen as he purchased SVRA some time ago. Perella Motorsports Holdings has expanded its umbrella to include the Trans Am Championship, as well as our championships, the F4 US and Formula Regional Americas Championships, and the new Ligier JS F4 Championship, and, of course, all of the SVRA classes, which Tony just outlined. And one of them is coming out right now. These cars are all from Group 5, and this is a specialty race just for those cars for in Sports 2000 trim. Sports 2000 was a sports car racing series with its heyday back in the late 80s and the 90s. Eventually petered out a bit in the early 2000s, but there used to be a pro racing series. They raced in SCCA competition as well. So this is always a fun class, and we've got 21 of them about to take the green flag. Let's introduce the starters for you. Alone in row 11 is the 98 car of Jim Hallman. That's a vintage Sports 2. It's a Swift DB2. In row 10, car number 28 is Bruce Domick in an Ocelot Mark 6. And the 32 of Robert Dusek II in a Doran JE1. In row number 9, car 47A is Glenn Jividan Jr. in a Carber CS2. And the 17 of Mike Wright in a Lola T8990. In row 8, car 6 is a Swift DB2, Martin Hulick. Next to him is the 85 of Angelo Savoia in a Taiga SC80. In row 7, car number 20B is David DeBolt in a Spec Racer Ford 3. Next to him is the 167 of Scott Kuhn in a Swift DB2. Row 6 has the 44 of Rhett Merriman in a Lola T598 and the 14 of Jim Chanel in a Lola T8990. In row 5, car number 11 is Payman Autad in a Swift DB2. Another Swift next to him is the 15 of Mark Clark. That's a DB5. In row 4, car 77 is Brian Gernert in a Swift DB2. Next to him is car 2, Edward Gunther in a Carber CS2. Row 3 has number 7, Joel Quadracci, a veteran vintage campaigner with us in a Swift DB2. Next to him, the 76 of Brent Gernert in a Lola T9090. In the front 2 rows, on the outside of row 2, car 23, Robert Dusek III in another Doran, a JE1. Next to him is the 51A of Andrew Myers in a Carber CS2. And on the front row, car 02 is Fritz Seidel in his Carber CS2. And your pole sitter, car number 34, Jonathan Klein in a 1988 Lola T8890. As the field completing their formation lap, beginning to pair up and pack up here as we get ready for the 2x2 flying start. Jonathan Klein in that white number 34, Fritz Seidel in the blue and orange 02 alongside. Andrew Myers in the blue Carber and Robert Dusek in the red Doran. And there's the green flag and a good jump from Jonathan Klein as he gets out in front right away. But Fritz Seidel and Andrew Myers going side by side in the battle for second. Down into turn number 1 they come. Jonathan Klein slots in, and it looks like Andrew Myers got the jump on Fritz Seidel to take over the second spot. You can see the Carbers, which are a very popular Sports 2000, especially in the later years of that championship. John Fergus won 7 runoffs championships in that Carber chassis. He was instrumental in the development of it. And it was the one to have in the later stages of the Sports 2 era. But the Lolas and the Swifts that predated it make up a lot of this field as well. As Glenn Jivitin Jr. looking racy near the back of the pack. We saw his very characteristic silver, green, and blue livery. But Jonathan Klein getting away at the front here. As that Lola has the legs on the rest of the field, it looks like. Andrew Myers in the second spot. As the field pretty much single file down into turn number 12. A little racing going on a little deeper in the pack. We'll sort them out as they come by the yard of bricks here right in front of our commentary position. So glad that you're with us here on Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers and sons and daughters within the sound of our voices. We appreciate your being here and becoming a tradition here for this vintage weekend here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on Father's Day weekend. Jonathan Klein already with an 0.8 of a second lead as he sets fast lap of the race. Andrew Myers slots into second, Fritz Seidel third, Robert Dusek the third. Talk about fathers and sons, racing with his dad in this class. And the number 23 is fourth. Brian Gernert in the fifth spot. Brent Gernert right alongside in the number 76. Edward Gunther, Joel Quadracci, Mike Wright, and Mark Clark rounding out the top 10. As we mentioned, there are some subclasses here. The vast majority of these drivers are in the 5A S2 category, but we also have some vintage S2s. Joel Quadracci among them, Brian Gernert as well, Payman Autad. And we have an historic S2, even older, Angelo Savoia in his 1980 Taiga. Number 85 represents that class. Dave DeBolt in that Spec Racer Ford 3. Don't think Dave is in the field as I scan down Tanya's scoring. He did not take the start, apparently, so that is not technically a Sports 2000 car, but similar performance. As we are working our way around, as our leaders have already caught the back of the pack, as we've got a car just in front of I'm sorry, I misidentified that. There's another white car. I thought we were seeing the leader there, and that was my fault. Jonathan Klein out in front with nobody in front of him. Andrew Myers and Fritz Seidel having a nice little battle for second. Seidel maintaining station right at the moment in the Carber. As both of those Carbers. Jonathan Klein in the Lola. Through the chicane and onto the Holman Straight. You can see our top three all in that camera shot. Just about 0.4 of a second at the line separating those three cars. And a little bit of a gap back to Robert Dusek III in the Doran. Jonathan Klein. Pretty much all by himself out in front, but Andrew Myers not that far back in the 51. Andrew set the fast lap of the race last time by, so perhaps there's some life in that Carber yet. It is almost 20 years younger than the Lola in front of him. Andrew Myers on a roll here. Let's see if he can reset fast lap as he comes by, and he does. A 132.2. Jonathan Klein a 132.9. So Myers has it down to about a half a second. And Fritz Seidel dropping a little further back. So we've got a good battle for the lead here at the front of this Sports 2000 race. 16 minutes or 10 laps, whichever comes first. This Klein's car really good through the twisty bits, but it looks like the Carber of Myers may be a little better in a straight line. As the Carber probably a little more aerodynamic than the Lola in front of it. As at the end of the Holman Straight, Myers can close right up on the back of the Lola of Jonathan Klein. Right out to the edge of the track is Jonathan Klein at the exit of turn 10. Now turn 11, which brings them up onto the banking. And hard braking zone down there into turn 12. That right-hander has been a position of contention for some of our racers, as we've seen a couple cars coming together there throughout the course of the weekend. Myers as close as he's been. Let's see if he's close enough to maybe apply a little pressure as we get down toward turn number 1, as he tucks right into the draft of Jonathan Klein. Andrew Myers, is he going to pop? There he comes. Let's see if he can outbrake Myers. They can see them squirming under the brakes, and we have a new leader as Andrew Myers takes over the top spot. He started this race in third, moved up into second at the first turn, and has challenged our early leader for the lead and has taken it. Some good side-by-side racing a little deeper in the pack. That's the 11 of Payan Altad, I believe. And just behind him is Glenn Jividan Jr., Mike Wright just in front. Jividan raced this car in Sports 2000 competition for many years. Called many of his races at my home track, the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And still out here having fun in the vintage ranks. There's the 77 car of Brian Gernert with Brent Gernert right behind him. So that's a family affair. Brian in a vintage S2, the white car. Brent in a slightly more contemporary Lola T90. Fritz Seidel leading this group of cars. Right behind him is Robert Dusek. Excuse me, that's Edward Gunther. We have two number 2s in the field. That's Edward Gunther. Now popping out just behind them, Joel Quadracci diving down to the inside, and he makes it stick. So Quadracci moves up a spot, getting around Brent Gernert to move up into 7th position. Brent in the 76 Lola gives way to the Swift DB2 of Joel Quadracci. David Bruns developed that Swift DB2 as his second. The DB1, of course, was an open wheel chassis, Formula Ford, but the DB2 is Sports 2000, his first effort, and it was quite successful upon its debut. As the leaders, having caught up with the back of the pack, now dealing with some lapped traffic. Andrew Myers in the blue Carber still out in front of Jonathan Klein in the white Lola as they come across to complete race lap number 6. Bruce Domek in the 28 is the lapped car. The 02 of Fritz Seidel running pretty much by himself in 3rd. And then Robert Dusek the 2nd, or the 3rd, excuse me, in that 4th spot in that red Doran. Jonathan Klein not going away here as Andrew Myers ran him down and was able to make the pass a few laps ago, but Klein is sticking right with him, not allowing Myers to get away. And as we look at lap times, Klein was a little bit quicker on that last lap, a 32.5. Myers at a 33.1. So perhaps Klein's car coming to him a bit into the second stage of this race. As we have a spinner there, the 77 has gone around. That's Brian Gernert in his white Swift DB2, but he's been able to continue. He was in 6th position, and he's going to lose a spot or two, I believe. He was racing with Joel Quadracci at that point. The Myers-Klein battle at the front has been a good one. Oh, and Jonathan Klein goes a little wide at the exit of turn 13. So that's going to cost him some momentum. It's arguably the most important turn on the racetrack because it leads onto this long front straightaway. So yeah, that's cost him about a half a second worth of interval. You can see in the distance Fritz Seidel all alone in 3rd in that 02 car. With just under 11 minutes, we're about halfway through this one time-wise. 11 minutes or 6 laps, whichever occurs first. Good battle here. The 14 of Jim Chanel and Payman Autad in the number 11 just in front of him. That's the battle for 12th and 13th. And we turn our attention back to this 4-way battle. Mike Wright just in front of that. There's Glenn Jividan Jr. in the 47 trying to close down on Brian Gernert. Jim Chanel and Rhett Merriman right at the tail end of that. Merriman in the red Lola. Oh, and I think that's Gernert diving to the inside, or Chanel diving to the inside. Did he make it stick on Autad? And I believe he did. So Chanel up a spot in the number 14. Now Autad going to try to take that back at turn 4 as they go side by side. So Autad retakes that position in his Swift DB2. This is the battle for 12th, 13th, and 14th. Jividan in the 47A just in front of this battle. So Autad leading Jim Chanel with Rhett Merriman giving chase. Working their way through turn 11 and up onto the banking. As we say, about halfway home on this one. As this trio makes their way through turn 12 and into 13. The pit entrance right there off to driver's right. Altad gets a good run off of 13 and is able to open up a little advantage now over Chanel. There he comes. The 44 of Merriman in the red Lola. Altad being a little defensive, driving right down the middle of the racetrack in the approach to turn 1. You can see that car getting a little squirrely under the brakes. Chanel's car a little bit more stable, and that's allowed him to make up that ground that he lost. Meanwhile, Jonathan Klein still chasing Andrew Myers in the battle for the overall lead as they complete race lap number 9. About a second and a half separate those two. Oh, a lockup from Jonathan Klein. He's able to get it sorted, but left the braking just a little bit too late. Tires may be beginning to complain a little bit. It's a warm day here in Indianapolis, and it's getting hotter. So it's going to get a little greasier as the day wears on. But Andrew Myers with no problem at the front, as that little miscue from Jonathan Klein gave him even more breathing room. It was about a 2 4/10 at the line last time by, and it's going to be more than that now. Myers' car appears to be pretty stable and comfortable out in front. Number 51A. Out to the edge of the track there, coming up onto the front straightaway. Here's the battle we've been watching between Chanel and Rhett Merriman. Chanel in the 14, Merriman in the 44. That's for 13th and 14th. It's good battles all up and down this racetrack. Only half a second at the line, and it's, if anything, a little closer than that now. As Merriman getting a good run through the chicane as he closes. A good battle between just in front of them between Mike Wright and Altad as well. They are running in close formation. Mike Wright in 11th, Altad in 12th. There's that battle just in front of the Chanel-Merriman battle. Mike Wright in the Lola T8990, number 17. Edward Gunther and Joel Quadracci having a nice battle of their own. Gunther in the red and blue Carber, number 2. Quadracci in the blue and yellow Swift. Brent Gernard in the 76, closing quickly on that group. Gunther pretty much by himself right now. He's about 3 seconds in front of Quadracci. The last time across the line, he's about 10 seconds behind Robert Dusek in the Doran. Gunther line in the 5th spot. Oh, and we got a spin. It's the 0-2 of Fritz Seidel, our 3rd place runner. He had a big lead over Robert Dusek, so I don't think that's going to cost him a position. But Dusek might have some new life here. He was 14 seconds behind Seidel the last time across the timing line, so perhaps this will give him some new life. Meanwhile, this great 4-car battle. Mike Wright, Payman Altad, Jim Chanel, and Rhett Merriman all in a bunch for 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th. Mike Wright in that blue and gold Lola T8990, a beautiful car. And here comes the 44 of Rhett Merriman, going to try to make a run down the front straightaway here. But he lost a little momentum as he went just a little too wide, coming off of turn 14. And that allowed Jim Chanel to get away just a bit. Altad making a run on Mike Wright, going to try to take over 11th spot as the white flag is in the air. We're on the final lap. So this four-way battle is going to go right down to the wire. As they come down into turn 7 at the big end of the Holman Straight. Mike Wright in the blue and gold Lola. Damon Altad in the blue Swift. Wright looks to have it under control here, but Altad, Chanel, and Merriman. And coming up behind them is Scott Kuhn in the number 167 Swift, and he's going to try to get a piece of this and has done so. He's picked off both Merriman and Chanel. So Scott Kuhn in the 167 trying to go high and wide and handsome around the outside. No, sorry, that's the 51A. That's our overall leader. Forgive me, I misidentified that. That's the overall leader, putting these guys a lap down as he makes the run to the stripe. Side-by-side racing with Chanel. 3 abreast as they come across the line. Mike Wright takes the 11th spot. Altad in 12th. Chanel 13th. Merriman 14th. But fractions of a second separating them as they cross the line. Andrew Myers taking the win, eventually stretching it out to a 2-second lead over Jonathan Klein. Fritz Seidel just now coming across the stripe. He sets his fastest lap on the last lap in the 02 Carber. There's Robert Dusek in the number 23. He'll take 4th place honors. As we follow the number 2 of Edward Gunther, all by himself as he comes under the stripe in that Carber CS2. Followed by the 7 of Joe Quadracci. Brent Gernert will be next across the line. Mark Clark in the 15 Swift DB5. DB5 was an evolution of the DB2, which we've seen a lot of. Brian Gernert just behind him in the number 77. There's the 85 of Angelo Savoia in the historic S2. He's back in 16th position. Glenn Jivitin Jr. takes the last spot in the top 10. Mike Wright comes across in 11th. There's Altad in the 12th spot. Chanel was the first car a lap down, so he has already seen the checkers. Next on the agenda, groups 6, 8, and 12. We go from the high-revving 2-liter sports cars to the big ground-pounding V8s from Group 6. Slightly more nimble and newer Group 8 cars, and in Group 12, the most contemporary of these silhouette cars. They'll be coming up next just about 5 minutes from now. 5-minute warning's already been given to the field as we get ready for our next race here as part of the 2024 edition of the Indy Speed Tour at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Andrew Myers and Jonathan Klein having a moment after the race to celebrate one another's first and second place finish. You can tell it's a hot day as these drivers can't wait to get the top of that driver's suit off so they can cool off just a little bit. As these guys have to work pretty hard to wrestle these cars around this 2.4 plus mile circuit, all 14 turns of it. And as the temperature continues to climb, it's 78 right now, but temperature this afternoon expected to be in the mid-90s, so it's going to get worse before it gets better. There's Fritz Seidel climbing out of his car, getting congratulations from Andrew Myers. And the 1 minute warning's up on the grid as we get ready for our next race. Again, that's for groups 6, 8, and 12. About ready to take to the track.
All right, this was a unique race for us this afternoon. We had a single
cars
class
making their way out
here.
of the false grid as we're getting ready for race number 2 of the weekend for groups 6, 8, and 12. Got 19 cars in the field as they're pulling out of Gasoline Alley. Let's introduce them to you on the outside of row 10, or the only car in row 10, I should say. The number 157 of Paul Easy. He's in a Group 12 Mazda RX-7. In row 9 on the outside, car number 487 is Adam Golightly in a Group 12 Porsche 944. Next to him is the 21 of Alan Benjamin in a Group 12 Porsche Cup car. In row 8, car number 80, Michael Noble in a Group 8 Alfa Romeo Spider Veloce. Next to him, the 79 of Clay Hargett in a Group 12 Ford Mustang Boss S. Row 7 has the 73 of Colby Hillman. He's in a Group 6 Chevy Corvette, 1969 vintage. Next to him is the 14A of Rick Ortman in a Group 12 1992 Chevy Corvette. Row 6 has the 11 of John Miller in a Group 12 1989 Corvette. And the 89B of Ron Cheka in a Group 12 1989 BMW M3. Row 5 has the 22 of Evan Bernath. He's in a Group 12 Acura Integra. And alongside him, the 04 of Ron Pauly in a Group 12 Lexus IS300, one of the newest cars in the field. In row 4, we have the 27 of Eric Ritchie. He's in a Group 6 1967 Corvette. And the number 14 of Doug Obermeyer in a Group 6 Ford Mustang Trans Am Vintage 1968. Row 3 has the 85 of Sean Brown in a Group 12 Ford Escort RS Mark I. That's a sweet little car. Next to him, the 36 of Scott Shadell. He's in a Group 6 Trans Am Chevy Camaro, light blue colored, 1969 first generation Camaro. Row 2 has the number 202, a beautiful Datsun 240Z. Scott Kissinger has that 1971 Group 12 car there. Alongside him, the number 8A of Tom McGlynn, another beauty, a 1972 Porsche 914. That car really punches above its weight. And now on the front row, the number 67, Samuel Lecomte. He's in a Group 6 Trans Am Chevy Camaro, 1967 vintage. And the pole sitter and runaway winner yesterday in the number 9, Tom Weglars. That's a Group 6 GT 1969 Chevrolet Corvette. Weglar's car takes a few laps to get on the boil, fully up to speed. So don't be surprised if he drops back in the first turn or two. But eventually that car comes good. And he is tough to beat as he won by a pretty comfortable margin in yesterday's race. But Lecomte, McGlynn, Kissinger, Shadell, and Brown all had a dandy battle yesterday. As that little Porsche is going to line up on the outside of the front row. It looks like Lecomte's Camaro not in the field. So Tom McGlynn will line up alongside. And the green flies. And Weglars gets the jump right away. The 240Z of Scott Kissinger trying to follow him through, but he's got company as Shadell tries to out-drag him down to turn 1. Shadell in that big Camaro. But Kissinger is going to get the job done. Then right behind them, the 27 Corvette of Eric Ritchie. And the three of them have swamped that little Porsche of Tom McGlynn. And right behind him is Sean Brown in that beautiful little 85 Ford Escort. Just behind him is the green and black Ford Mustang Trans Am of Doug Obermeyer, the number 14 car. Weglars, like yesterday, getting away at the front. Perhaps he's got that car coming to him a little more quickly. On the podium yesterday, he talked about the fact that it was taking the car a while to get up on song, but it looks like he's got that problem solved because he is getting away at the front here right away. Scott Kissinger giving chase in the Stockton 240Z. Weglars already with a big lead coming down into turn 12 for the first time. There's Kissinger. Shadell's lined up in third in the Camaro. The Porsche of McGlynn right behind him. You can see how nimble that little Porsche is as he is able to get right on his back bumper and pull alongside. But Shadell will have a little more grunt under his right foot as McGlynn does the over-under, takes advantage of that handling on the Porsche, and he gets in front of him, but Shadell will pull alongside and just motor on by him with the greater horsepower. So this is a great way to evidence the fact that these cars make their speed in different ways, even though their lap times are virtually identical. Shadell's car strong in a straight line, but the Porsche can really eat him up in the twisty parts of the racetrack. That Porsche with a 1.7 liter air-cooled 4-cylinder motor in the back, and the Camaro certainly with a small block V8. Right behind those two is Eric Ritchie in the 27 Corvette Roadster. Meanwhile, at the front, Tom Weglars wasting no time getting out in front of this one. Like I said, normally it takes him a couple laps to get that car rolling, but he's got it working from the jump here. There goes McGlynn down to the inside of Scott Shadell with the 27 right behind him. He's giving that position back because the double yellow flags have come out. We've got a car off in the gravel at turn 4, we understand. So McGlynn had made that pass, but then he saw the double yellow flags and gave the position back, which is exactly what he should do. And it's the Lexus, the 04 of Ron Pauly. His 2004 Lexus IS300. That's a Grand Am Cup ST1 car back in the day. A silhouette class that ran along with Grand Am. Well, he was running in 8th position, but he is going to drop to the back. Still waiting on Colby Hillman to come by. There he is in the number 73 Corvette Roadster. So just a quick rundown. Tom Weglar is your leader in that red number 9 Corvette. Scott Kissinger in the black 202 Datsun in second spot. Scott Shadell in the 36 Chevy Camaro. Tom McGlynn in the 8A Porsche 914. Eric Ritchie in the number 27 Chevy Corvette. Doug Obermeyer in the number 14 Ford Mustang. Sean Brown in the number 85 Ford Escort. John Putnam II in car number 89, the Mazda RX-7. John Miller in the number 11 Chevy Corvette. Paul Easy in the 157 Mazda RX-7. That's your top 10. As we've completed 2 racing laps. And again, the yellow flag for Ron Pauley, who has beached it at turn 4. Track and recovery crews here at Indianapolis are unparalleled. These men and women do a fantastic job getting these cars out of harm's way. Having a chat with the driver to see if they can make a plan to get that car extracted from the gravel trap. Colby Hillman and Michael Noble have yet to catch up to the back of the pack, but everybody else stacked up behind the safety car. Get a good look of that green Mustang of Doug Obermeyer, number 14. As they're coming by the scene of the incident. Yeah, it looks like they're going to have to lift the front of that car because it's well and truly buried in the gravel trap, so they can't just attach a tow strap to it and pull it out. Michael Noble finally across the line in the Alfa Romeo. Those of you here at the facility and joining us on the stream, next up will be the finale of the weekend for the BMW Car Club of America. They have a sprint race coming up at 11:50. We won't be joining you on the stream for that race, but those of you here at the track will have a chance to see that. We'll break for lunch and then set up for the fan walk starting at about 12:50. .12:40 actually, the beginning of the fan walk as it is scheduled currently. And then we'll have some opening ceremonies, invocation, and national anthem leading up to the start of this Group 2 race. The Formula B cars, part of that that group, coming up. Again, the start at about 1:30 this afternoon. Following that, the stock car race coming up at 2 o'clock, and then the finale for the Formula Regional Americas drivers at 2:30. And then the Ragtime Racers making their only appearance today at 3:20 for their second race of the weekend. The Group 9 cars, the fastest cars here this weekend, in the Wings and Slicks open wheel machines at 3:50. And then our final race on the stream will be the Group 5, 7, and 11 race, scheduled at 4:20 this afternoon. For those of you here at the facility, there is an SVRA Enduro after that, which will take the green at about 4:50. That'll take us right up to the end of the day, at just about 6 o'clock this evening. So we're going to go around one more time behind the safety car as the crew's working to extract Ron Pauly's Lexus from the group, the Turn 4 gravel trap. Looks like they've got him on the pavement. That's a good sign. Clock continues to run as we're about coming up on halfway time-wise. We also have 6 laps to go. Looks like Ron Pauly's will be able to continue on his own. Hopefully he can shake some of the gravel loose. Because, yeah, he's going to deposit a little of that gravel trap on the racetrack. So the safety workers will show that orange and yellow striped flag to indicate that there may be a service condition. And safety car has just been instructed to click the lights off. There they go. So we are going to go back to racing here this time by. Go coming to the green flag with 5 laps remaining after they cross the line. 5 laps or 10 minutes, whichever comes first. Tom Weglar's wasting no time getting his foot down, but here comes Scott Shadell. Let's see if he's got anything for Scott Kissinger in the 240Z. He does, but once again, nimble versus horsepower may come into play here, as Kissinger might be able to retake that second spot. We have a late arrival to this race, the 89B of Ron Cheka in his BMW M3. Just now joining the fray, 5 laps down. Kissinger getting a little closer down into the brake zone at turn 7. As Eric Ritchie was able to get by Tom McGlynn in the run down to turn 1. You can see McGlynn in the Porsche right behind Ritchie in that Corvette Roadster. As we follow this second place battle. There's Shadell's Robin's Egg Blue Camaro. Stretching his legs under power, but a bit more nimble 240Z right on his tail. And Kissinger thinks about putting his nose in there at turn 13, but then falls back in single file, realizing he probably doesn't have much of a chance down this front straightaway. Weglar is long gone at the front. So here comes the Corvette of Eric Ritchie, as he's got the power down as well. He's thinking about Kissinger, but I think Kissinger is going to be able to hold him off down into turn 1. So Kissinger is the meat in the bow tie sandwich here. And there goes Tom McGlynn once again in that nimble little Porsche. really showing the part of the racetrack where he's got the advantage. Shadell's car, that Camaro in Trans Am spec. First generation F-body Camaro with the SCCA 5-liter power plant. Making about 350 horsepower, thereabouts. Kissinger's 240Z in 1971 with a 2.4-liter inline 6, making about 150 horsepower, thereabouts. So a bit down in the horsepower sweepstakes. Trouble for Eric Ritchie. He's dropped back 2 places as both Tom McGlynn and Sean Brown have gotten around him. And here goes McGlynn. He's going to challenge Kissinger in the 240Z. The Z car maybe with a little more grunt, but that Porsche is hard to beat from the nimble standpoint. Let's see how these two battle for 3rd and 4th. These two perfect examples of race cars. Those of you here at the facility, paddock access is unlimited here. You can get up close and personal with any of these cars and talk to the owners and the drivers. I think you'll find them happy to talk to you about their cars, their racing history, and how they came to be here. And these are 2 great examples you'll want to see up close. Beautifully turned out, both of these cars. Any of the cars here are beautifully turned out. Yes, Michael Noble about to go a lap down in the Alfa Romeo, as Weglars blows by him up on the banking, down into turn 12. 2 laps to go, or 6 minutes. Looks like we'll get them all in. So 2 laps to go next time by for Tom Weglars. Look at this battle. This is great stuff. Shadell, Kissinger, and McGlynn. This is 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in the overall. Kissinger and McGlynn are in the same class, so their race is for class position. Shadell in a separate class, obviously, with the Trans Am Spec Group 6 Camaro. The Kissinger-McGlynn cars are both from Group 12. Confirmation from timing that we're going to see the white flag next time by. So let's see how this battle for class position and overall position between Kissinger and McGlynn is going to. There he comes, McGlynn down to the inside, late on the brakes into turn 7. Kissinger gives him racing room, and through goes McGlynn. He takes over 3rd spot and the lead in the 12 MP1 class. Just look how he can eat up that big Camaro in front of him through the twisty parts, and then the Camaro can just march away. Got to be frustrating for McGlynn. Oh, he's going to dive bomb him down into turn 12, down to the inside. Up over the curbing. He's still side by side. Shadell should have the advantage. And the left-hander here at turn 13, he uses up all the track, and now Kissinger is going to get a part of that as McGlynn get balked just a little bit by Shadell in front of him. So now these two are side by side once again as they're coming to the white flag. The 240Z maybe a little bit more horsepower under his right foot, able to snatch away the second spot. Down into turn 1 they come. Oh, McGlynn locks up the wheels and spins it. as he probably got caught out as Kissinger got on the brakes maybe a little sooner than he expected. He had to lock him up to avoid collecting the back of the 240Z. And he is trying to get that car refired, I believe. Meanwhile, at the front, Tom Weglars, 22 seconds in front of the rest of the field after that restart. Just to give you an indication of just how dominant that car is. They are in separate classes. They're both from Group 6. Weglars in the 6 GT class, Shadell in the 6 TAS class. Tom Weglars, for the second day in a row, is going to take the top honors in group number 6 and 8 and 12 as well, as the big Corvette comes onto the front straightaway for the final time. Starter with the checkered flag in hand. Tom Weglars takes the win once again. There's the lapped number 73 of Colby Hillman and his Corvette Roadster. And here comes the battle for second, and it's going to be Kissinger. Gets it done. Scott Kissinger in the 240Z takes second place honors from Scott Shadell. Sean Brown comes home in fourth spot. In the 27 of Eric Ritchie. Here comes the Mustang of Doug Obermeyer across the line in sixth. Tom McGlynn in the Porsche with that spin at the end of the front straightaway. Dropping down the order, John Putnam will finish in seventh spot in his blue Mazda RX-7. Here's the number 80 of Michael Noble. He is laps down. Great run to the flag between John Miller and Paul Easy. Miller in the 11 taking the position. Paul Easy comes home in 10th spot in the Mazda RX-7 Roadster. Clay Hargett right behind them in the 11th position. So as Tom Weglars brings that GT Corvette into the pit lane and heads down toward Victory Circle. For those of you watching us on the stream, we're going to take another break here, as we will be back with you at the conclusion of the lunch break to bring you the start of the Group 2 and split Formula B race, scheduled to take the green at about 1:30, as we look at the minute by minute for the pre-race festivities. Again, the fan walk, for those of you here at the facility, the fan walk leading up to that race should open at about 12:40. Just follow the instructions of the folks in the yellow shirts. They'll get you into the right position. And then we'll have pre-race festivities leading down to the 1:30 start of the Group 2 race. For those of you watching us on the stream, join us again at 1:30 Eastern. That's about an hour and a half from now, a little more. And we'll have the balance of the day for our SVRA competitors and the finale for the Formula Regional Americas as well. I'm John Phippen speaking to you from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the 2024 edition of the Indy Speed Tour. We'll be back with you at about 1:30. See you then.
Speed Tour returns to Road America June 28th through the 30th, featuring the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli, the Cube 3 Architecture TA2 Series, International GT, PSSA, FRP, and Optima Search for the Ultimate Street Car. Saturday, you can take part in the Haggerty Cars and Caffeine Car Show with Parade Lab. You do not want to miss the Road America Speed Tour. For tickets, simply